to be, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bursting in air, gave proof that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you.
Order, arm, center, face, forward, arm.
Thank you, color guard of E.D. Walker Junior High School. Middle school, which includes junior high. And we are there and in their auditorium, and we work very hard. My name is David Briggs.
And my name is Susan Bradley.
And we are your co-chairs for this event. Rachel, before you leave, I hope she kind of rolled away. Rachel Baker-Ford has done a lot for this convention, and of course you just heard her sing the national anthem. She's also responsible for our program. Which was a lot of work. A lot of people put something into it. So we want to talk to you about something very important. And that's the theme of our convention. Like this is up a little bit high, so y'all can turn the mic down just a little bit, not the lights, the mic. Does everybody have their pencil? Hold it up. All right, you got a pencil when you came in today. Now, look at the front of your program. Public education, a pillar of our democracy. That is the theme of our convention. And we have many things. Go ahead. We've had a committee chaired by Carla Zimmer, who has worked very diligently to get signs and posters around to talk about the importance of public education, our support thereof. And so today you're going to hear many of our speakers talk about public education and the importance of continued support of it. And so we wanted to recognize that as the theme for our convention today. The pencil, hold on to it, remember it, it is the symbol. Take a pen and do what you need to do to make sure that public education is protected and that our candidates will talk about it in the campaign. And in that light, we actually have a couple of speakers from young people who we want to introduce at this time. We have Angie and Anika. And if they could make their way forward. Where are they? Which of you want to go first? Okay, all right. Anika Shaw, age 17, is a junior at South Lake Carroll. And she's here to speak about gun violence and the steps she has taken to combat this very pressing issue. Anika?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anika Shaw. I'm 17, and I attend South Lake Senior High School in South Lake Carroll Senior. So first of all, I'd like to say it's such an honor to have the opportunity to speak here. But the truth is, I wish that I didn't have to speak about this topic. I wish I didn't have to beg and ask for gun control. And I wish it didn't have to get to the point of this loud, powerful, student-led movement. So I am growing up in a generation of school shootings. Columbine was in 1999, all the way, and I was born in 2001. And since then, every school shooting has inspired another. We are shaped by the slaughtering of first graders at Sandy Hook, and we are shaped by barricades and paranoia. For some people, like my parents, for example, they will always remember where they were and what they were doing during 9/11. But for me, it will be Sandy Hook and Parkland. Those are the moments that have shaped my life. But it is important to remember that we can't normalize these issues, and we definitely cannot stay complacent. So that's where I came in. When I heard about the National School Walkout on March 14th after Parkland, I was upset that that's when my spring break was. So that's when I decided to bring the movement to my school. We planned and executed a school walkout on March 8th, and we made a clever Instagram and Twitter account called Operation Walkout, March 8 March Out, and hashtag Dragons Go Orange. We met with our administration and they effectively cooperated. We then spoke in front of the school board and city council in order to present many issues and solutions. So the purpose of the walkout was to A, honor the 17 lives lost at Parkland, and B, to basically foster healthy discourse about this topic, because this conversation needs to be happening. It's long overdue, and that's the purpose of the walkout. So we had a great turnout over 4 of our campuses. There were about 700 students that walked out. We had choppers there, the news was there, so we were really excited to get this. So a crucial part of our movement are orange bandanas, and unfortunately I forgot mine today, but I am wearing this orange ribbon. So my friend and I brought this movement in this form to our school for 2 main reasons. First, orange, because that's the national color to raise gun violence awareness. And second, the bandana dates all the way back to Mary Beth and John Cooper during the Vietnam War, who wore black armbands to protest the war. They then got suspended from school, which went, and that case went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court basically upheld the constitutionality of the students. So we're really thankful for students like Mary Beth and John, who have paved the way for youth activism. This was all the way back in 1969, so we see that this has been happening for a long time. So we decided to wear that in the form of orange bandanas, and it's really exciting when you enter our school, you see waves of students wearing orange bandanas, so it really has spread, and we're really happy about that. Next, let's talk about the school board. So I've been to the school board, I've spoken in front of them, and we've asked for a few things. First, we asked for approachable counselors. So as soon as you enter our guidance office, you see college posters, college pamphlets, and our counselors are great about instructing us and helping us about college decisions, where to go. But what they don't understand is how to counsel us on, let's say, mental health issues, or how to help students who actually need help when they're not in the right state of mind. So we asked the school to possibly implement something like that can help, because this is a gun issue, but we also know that guns are going in the hands of the wrong people who, per se, have mental health issues. So that's why we also need to take care of that. And then second, we asked for approachable reporting. So at my school, we have a dragon tip line. Basically, you text this number if you want to anonymously report something, and it goes straight to the administration. And I say anonymous because, they still know who you are. But, so we asked for approachable reporting. We want students to feel that they have a place to anonymously report something if they out, and we also want it to go straight to law enforcement. So we asked for them to implement like a Tarrant County Crime Stoppers prevention line. So we really need something like that because the school, as we can see, the school hasn't really taken any steps or isn't doing anything to prevent this issue. And then third is, after Parkland, we were hoping and praying that our school would at least release some sort of statement saying, oh, if you hear something, please tell us, come to us, we will do everything to ensure your safety, because that's the school's job, but they haven't done that. So we asked if they could release some sort of statement or at least provide more information on what we should do on this type of issue, and that's one of the things we asked for. And then fourth is really important to me is voter education and registration, because most students really know how to do that. Voting is really important. I'm only 17, unfortunately, so I can't vote, which is why I'm speaking, because I hope that adults and people who are eligible to vote will vote on these issues. And that's why we need voter registration, voter education, so students know what to do and how to actively participate in democracy. So after that, we went to City Council twice. We went on March 6th and March 20th in the same month, and we're going to be going back every City Council meeting, and we asked for a few things there. First, we asked for them to adopt a resolution. So when I was looking up what cities could do to help this issue, I noticed that a lot of cities across the nation have been adopting resolutions that they're going to take to the state saying, we'll do something about gun violence prevention, and we'll do something to help the issue. So we asked our city to do that, but I do live in a really conservative area, so I don't know if that's going to be achieved, but I hope it will. Another thing is I wanted there to be a special committee created. A lot of cities across the nation have chosen different people from different subsections of the city to be on a council for gun control. So we asked for someone to do that. And then we also have this thing called SPARK in my city, which is Students and Parents Against the Risk for Kids. So our city scheduled a SPARK meeting for the parents to attend to ask the officers and the city council members about issues on gun violence, but they were actively excluding students. Every poster you read about the SPARK meeting says this is only parents, no students allowed, but that's where the issue is, because when you exclude students from this topic that concerns students, then you don't see anything being achieved. And that's why students have been stepping up, and that's why we need to be at that meeting. We need to be involved in this conversation. So we asked for them to do that. And then fourth, we want our SROs and officers to be able to answer our questions, tell us what they're going to do in order to implement preventative measures to prevent this type of issue. So after all of this, I can say that I'm frustrated. I'm aware that change takes time, but the things we requested for should be prioritized and accomplished in order to guarantee a student safety. And we haven't seen any of this implemented or even attempted to be, but we will be going back every meeting to see what they will do about this. So by now you may be wondering why I'm so passionate about this, and there's two reasons. First, what hit me most is that I will be graduating next year, but my little brother won't. He's only 14, and so we're about half the Parkland victims. So we have to address this issue in order to guarantee that all future generations of students can learn in a safe environment, because that's what they deserve. So for my brother and for all future generations, for all students who don't deserve to go to school and be scared, who don't deserve to get slaughtered just for going to school, that's why this hit me most. And then second of all is I'm a public forum debater, and that means I should research and debate a different topic every month about foreign and domestic issues. So last November, I was actually busy researching and speaking about universal background checks. The topic, word for word, was resolve the United States should implement universal background checks for all gun sales and transfer of ownership. And I was researching that and, looking at all these statistics, but never did I think that it would become reality and I would be up here speaking about it, and all these statistics and stories are coming to life in front of my eyes. So I do feel like I know a lot about this from researching, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. So earlier this week I had an interview with Cosmopolitan, and the big question she asked me is, what do you wish adults understood? So I answered that this movement is unique because, like I said, the issue concerns students and children. And we are both the victims and the perpetrators of the crime, because students are the ones dying, but students are also the ones committing the crime and killing all these students. So that's why I wish adults understood, because a lot of adults are hesitant and don't like the fact that students are taking the matters into their own hands and stepping up, but we all know, and students definitely know, that this is the appropriate time. This is absolutely necessary because our adults have failed us in terms of laws and policies. That's why I'm speaking here to you today. I hope you will keep the conversation alive, tell everyone you see what you hear, what you want, and take this to the state, hopefully. And the school board and lawmakers, many lawmakers are waiting for us to give up, like a lot of other issues. They're waiting for us to give in. And they're telling me, the funniest thing I've probably heard is, you're telling me the Tide Pod eating generation is going to solve for gun violence, but that's the thing. A lot of these naive and absent mindsets are the issue and the reason that we refuse to give up. And frankly, I know speaking of the Democratic Convention, but I do believe that this issue is nonpartisan because I am all for supporting our Second Amendment rights and the safety of all of our citizens. But when it's coming at the cost of many innocent lives, that's where we draw the line. That's when we say that everyone needs to be a part of this conversation and really adhere to the rules. So remember that we are not headlines, we're not statistics, we don't want to be in the news for this, for getting attacked or some sort of tragedy happening here in Dallas. And we have to keep Dallas out of the news. And it's absurd because I have teachers now clearing out their cabinets, throwing away their supplies for us to hide in. And I have people that are pushing for militarization in schools, but that's really not the answer. It's absurd that I have to prepare for an active shooter situation in my school more than a fire drill because nobody is addressing the roots of the issue. Because all of this has become normal, but we can't let that happen. We have to keep the conversation alive. So, it took a shooting at Parkland and recently at Great Mills a few days ago for people to step up, but now we have to act and take preventative measures for more children and innocent lives from being taken. Remember, it's impossible to fix a problem when people aren't even aware of it or have regard for it. So that's why we need to keep the conversation alive, keep spreading the word. And these movements, these walkouts, these marches, it's not the grand finale, it's just the beginning of the marathon. We have to keep fighting. I know I'll be at the march later today, and then next week we have a community rally, and we'll be speaking to everyone we see about this issue. And so let's actually address the root of the issue. So these are a few things that I asked for from our representatives, from our senators, from any politician. A, we want stronger background checks, obviously, because it's evident that guns are getting in the hands of the wrong people. And when you actually have these laws, now you have a way for someone to actually go to jail, and it actually becomes a criminal offense, and there are actually legal repercussions for people to get in trouble. That's why we need this, because right now, when there is no law, there's no deterrence, and people are going to still be committing these crimes, and school shootings are just going to inspire more school shootings, which is why we need these laws. And then third, it's obvious that we need to decrease the circulation of guns, because the access to guns is absurd, and once again, that links into background checks. We need background checks. We need safe storage laws, and we also need better databases, better reporting. I know the NICS database, the reporting rate is really low for mental health issues for domestic abusers, so we really need to be implementing these databases. We need to be implementing these laws. We need to make more laws. So I brought this movement to our school. I went to the school board. I spoke to city council. I'm here speaking in front of you guys. I'll be at the march later today, but we need to keep this conversation alive. I know I've said that a lot, but it's true. We cannot give up. We cannot let this go. We need to keep fighting for this, for the safety of all of our students. And just remember that if it can happen at Parkland, it can happen anywhere. It can happen here, even at E.D. Walker High School. It can happen at my middle school. It can happen at my high school, South Lake County. Thank you.
Isn't it wonderful to hear from our future? on gun violence, we have Angie Hogue, age 15. She is a sophomore at Booker T. Washington High School of the Performing Arts, and she's over here speaking with survival vision.
I go to a specific building around 8 hours a day, 5 days a week that I'm legally required to go to. It's where all my friends are, it's my job, it's my second home. I go to this place more than my own home. Lately, no thought has made me angrier than the fact that I have to go to this building every day wondering if I'm in danger, if my friends are in danger, if my brother in his building across town is in danger. I want to go to school knowing that I'm going to come home. Hi, I'm Angie, and I'm a sophomore at Booker T. I've become extremely passionate in this national conversation about gun violence, especially due to recent events. Our student activism is often seen as a group of kids who don't know enough of these topics to be speaking on them, when in reality all it takes is to know the slaughter of 14 teenagers and 3 faculty members, the massacre of 20 first graders and 6 personnel, and the aching hearts of childless mothers across the country whose children aren't even talked about, to have the right to stay angry and scared. The excited screams of people in the hallway at my school are always met with a pang of terror before I can assess the gravity of the situation. I'm scared to leave our building when the fire alarm goes off. I'm terrified when the announcements come on randomly throughout the day, and I fear that the announcement will be lockdown, clear the halls now. I've been participating in active shooter drills since I was 9 years old. We're going to cover the windows, and you'll all hide in the corner. It's important that you stay very quiet, they said. We couldn't understand why we were doing what we were doing, and we couldn't understand why our teachers' expression had changed. The victim in these mass shootings died in one of the most horrifying ways possible. Their biggest fears had become reality, and they couldn't do anything about it. That is heartbreaking, that is infuriating, and that is unacceptable. A common quote that is used often in this conversation is credited to Joseph Stalin. A single death is a tragedy, a million deaths is a statistic. It is important to remember that every life lost to gun violence is as complex and intricate as any other, including your own. Think of the students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Think of all the experience that a high schooler encounters. Think of the memories and the friends and the sensations and the successes and the failures that these students were robbed of. It makes you angry, doesn't it? Because you know no matter what you say or do, we cannot fill the void that these souls left in the hearts of those who knew them. That should make us angry. As a student, it is my duty to stay angry. As Democrats, it is your duty to stay angry. And as American citizens who care about the safety and well-being of our people, it is our duty to stay angry. We cannot let this conversation die after a month of anger and activism because we've forgotten. Guys, the NRA stays angry. They never forget what they're fighting for. We have to never forget what we're fighting for. We need to keep moving forward to a better future for children everywhere. A future where I will feel safe knowing that I'm going to a place of learning. A future where my mother will be able to kiss me goodbye when I leave for school and say I love you without the heaviness she feels she has to. A future where children killed in communities of low income and high crime aren't forgotten. I want a better future. We all do. And the question is, how do we get there? So I recently spent time with my theater company. We traveled to Washington, D.C., and we traveled to Sandy Hook, Connecticut, in Newtown. We spoke with all different kinds of people. We spoke with Nicole Hockley, who lost her son, Dylan, in the Sandy Hook tragedy. We spoke with Mark Barton, who lost his son, Daniel. And then we had the honor of speaking to senators. We spoke to Senator Cornyn and legislative executive of Senator Cruz's office, and we got the honor of speaking to Chris Murphy of Connecticut. And throughout all these interviews, we just kept finding all of the different perspectives and all the different ways that people feel. And one thing I found to realize is that nobody wants gun violence to keep happening. The question is, how driven are you to find a solution? How much do you care about the people you know and the children you know and everyone everywhere? How much do you care? And that's really what the issue comes down to. So I just want everyone here to remember the faces and the names of all of those lost, and to remember those that you don't know. Because there are people in cities in Baltimore and St. Louis and Chicago who nobody talks about. And that's sad because those lives are as valuable as anybody else. question, how do you get there? And Anika explained it pretty well. There are solutions and there are steps we can take. We just really need to take initiative and do the things we know we have the power to do. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks to all of you for your patience and through that. That was an incredible opportunity. As you know, there is a march going on this afternoon that was scheduled long after this event was. We schedule these events the second Saturday after the primary for each year, so we even know when this event will be in 2020. But we did want to spend time and recognize what else is going on today, which certainly will be in the news, and we believe in what these students are saying. I want to say a couple of things about the program. This is your program. We have a table of contents, and then we have ads throughout the program. And many of our candidates and our elected officials have contributed money to put our program together. And so please look through the program, spend some time. That's very important. We also have a breakfast out there that was sponsored by several groups. Representative Rafael Anchia, Judge John Crusoe, Renika Edwards, Judge Angela King, Judge Sally Montgomery, Judge Nancy Mulder, North Texas Democratic Women, North Texas Asian Democrats, Lillian Salerno, Judge Dale Tillery, Judge Stacy Williams, Bridget Whitmore, and our chairwoman, Carol Donovan, all sponsored our breakfast this morning. So let's give them a round of applause. And as you can see, that this convention didn't just happen. There was a tremendous amount of effort that went into it for the past couple of weeks. In the beginning of your program, you will see the listing of our volunteers, our convention volunteers, and our senatorial district committee. That's on page 4. I won't read all of their names, but please take a look at that and know that that is very important, that we need to recognize them. All right, a couple of things that we need to do. We need to tell you that at 11 o'clock, probably give it a little more time, 11:15, any resolutions that are to be turned in this morning, you need to bring them down here and put them in this box. Now, we don't need them because it's like 50-something we already have that the resolution committee is looking at. But the state rules, the state law do call for you to be able to submit a written resolution should you so desire. And we just simply need to tell you what the deadline is and give you time to bring it down and put it in the box. Susan, do you have anything else you want to say at this point? Or do you want to get some candidates in? The credentials committee. To announce the names of that. Tell us what they do.
Okay, credentials committee. They are the people who are checking to make sure that everyone who is here is certified and eligible to be here and participate in the Democratic Convention. Our co-chairs are Aisha McClendon and Matt Andrade. The members are Samantha Best, Lori Crenshaw, Michelle Blake, Laura Hawkins, Francine Lee, Kim Morris, and Robert Torres. And they will be in here shortly to certify our role and so we can begin our official business.
I have just been, we're going to have some candidates speak in just a minute, but there's an important resolution that has come forward, and I would let Bob Franklin, one of the co-chairs of our resolution committee, bring that forward because it's relevant to the speeches that we just heard. Bob, you want to come and quickly tell us what that resolution is? Okay, we'll have an early vote, guys. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, everybody. On behalf of the Resolutions Committee, thank you for being here. We're working diligently in there. We've got 74 different resolutions that we hope to present, but this one is timely based on the 2 speakers that you just had. So it's just approved by the Resolutions Committee. I'm going to, let me introduce Carla Zimmer, also on the Resolutions Committee. Whereas today in communities across our state, Texans of all ages and backgrounds will march together in unified, resolute protest to send a message to legislators in Austin and Washington, D.C. that one more life will be lost at the hands of mass shooter America. Number of other whereases which we'll skip. Let's get to the important part of the resolve. Therefore, be it resolved that the Senate District 16 Convention on this day of the convening of local Democratic Party leaders, candidates, activists, and volunteers enrolls this resolution urging our state and federal legislators to support broadly popular, common sense legislation that strengthens federal background checks, requires background checks and gun shows, bans the sale of assault rifles, high-capacity magazines, bump stocks, and all modification devices which essentially make a weapon fully automatic, eliminates agency loopholes allowing for the sale of firearms to criminals, increases the minimum age for firearm purchase to 21, and voids state-level open carry laws, stands side by side in solidarity with student leaders, concerned parents, and activists involved in March for Our Lives demonstrations happening across the country. And further resolved on this day, the convening of this Democratic Convention enrolls this resolution in memory of the victims of tragic gun violence across the state of Texas and our nation. This resolution has been approved unanimously by the Resolutions Committee, and we want to offer it for the Convention's consideration.
Move adoption.
Okay, I'm going to turn this over to the parliamentarian.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and what is your point? Is it a point of information or a point of order? And what is your point of order, sir?
Are we allowed to do this before we adopt the permanent goal and not do this immediately after we adopt the permanent goal?
It is possible, but I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to allow for immediate consideration. If someone would like to do so. All right, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I sense that that is more than 2/3, so we will make that.
Well, remember the dog that got killed on the airline that was up in the upper cabinet? Do you know that they have a bill that was already passed that is for the welfare of dogs? And it's called the welfare of our little feline furries. And it's already passed.
Okay. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Thank you very much. Okay, where were we? We are now prepared to consider the resolution. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. We understand we have other resolutions, but at this point we have the candidates who have been patiently waiting, many of whom have to go to more than one convention. And whoever, David, you kind of got the order there. So Tom Dunning, if you would like to come forward, I believe you're here representing a candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Dunning.
Thank you. I'll try to be relatively fast, but first I'd like to recognize Jan Sanders, who is the wonderful Jan Sanders, who's been a Democrat her whole life, and she is, I think, the greatest Democrat in Dallas County, so let's give her a hand. 36 years ago, I was coming to these same conventions, but with a man named Mark White, who was the newly Democratic nominee for governor of Texas. Nobody gave him a chance. None of the newspapers, even through October, they were saying he was going to lose because he was up against the wealthiest governor that we've ever had, and plus, not only his money, but all of the Republican money was behind him. Guess what? Mark White won. I campaigned with Ann Richards. They said there's no way she's going to win. No way but as we all know, she did win. I think this year is the same. The odds are so great against us that we have even a better chance to win. Why? Because all we have to do is look at the wave or the wind of blue, whether it was New Jersey, Virginia, Alabama, or recently Pennsylvania. And in Texas, we have the best candidates I think I've ever seen. Many are standing along the wall over there. These are good people, strong people, and they are attracting new voters. And just like the students that we've heard, those 18 and over will be voting many times, will be voting for the first time in their lives, as well as others who will be voting maybe for the first time in their lives for a Democrat. Many are independents. Many have never wanted to vote, but they're upset with what's happening nationally and upset with what's happening in Austin. So Greg Abbott is going to have a great challenge, and I hope that you will agree with me that Andrew White is that person. When I talked to Andrew White maybe in September or October, I said, when he called me, and he is Mark White's son, I said, why are you doing this? And he said, you know, I never wanted to be in politics. I was only 10, 12, 13 when my dad was governor, and I saw how poorly he was treated by opponents and by the press. I never wanted to do it. But he said, when I was at his funeral in August, I realized all the great things he had done, and he paid consequences. He did not win again. And he also was contacted by the sheriff's office in Houston because somebody had told the sheriff's office that he had a vote. So for 4 days, he and friends rescued people, and he realized his calling was to help other people. So he said, I'm going to run. And this is what he's all about. He wants to change things. He's upset with what's happening in Austin with the bathroom bill. He said, can you believe that we spend so much time on a bill that would hurt Texas? He is for he's for expanding pre-K to where 100% of the kids have an opportunity for it. He's for expanding and paying teachers more money, up to $5,000 more a year. He wants to bring around the changes that are necessary to make our state great. So, I think with all of the new young voters out there, that he represents the future of Texas. He's 45, he's built several businesses, he's sold them, he has the time, he has the money. He's the kind of person that we can all get behind. And many of these new voters, as I've said, people who've never voted before, many have never voted for a Democrat before, are changing parties because they like what they see. They like these candidates over here. They like Andrew White. So I hope you'll join me and others around the state. Encourage your friends to vote on May 22nd for Andrew White. Thank you.
All right, I just wanted to remind our candidates there are a number of you who wish to speak, and we do have somewhat of a timeline, so I hope everybody brought their elevator speech today. Thank you.
Well, let's say one and hope it doesn't go over a minute and a half. Please help us out, guys. All right, we need to get the education speaker in. Is he here? Okay, yes. Hold on just a moment because he has another event to attend. We have a very special guest, Nakia Douglas, founding principal of the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. LD is going to introduce him. Thank you.
Good morning, Democrats. My name is LD Carter, and like many of you in the room, I am wearing multiple hats in service of our organization. I'm a member of the convention's operations committee. I've served as precinct chair, an election judge, and for many years I've been a proud card-carrying member of Stonewall Democrats. But I also wear another hat in this community of ours. I'm a founding member of the Board of Trustees of the Friends of the Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy. Two things got me excited about being on this Board of Trustees. One is that the educational experience at the Academy is not only transforming the lives of the young men who attend there, it's also transforming families and ultimately communities. But the second thing that got me very excited was the fact that it was under the leadership of a very dynamic individual, Principal Nakia Douglas. He took the concept of a school that would challenge young people to see even beyond their expectations and turned it into a reality. He traveled throughout the United States and internationally, researching best practices of academics and young men transitioning into adult life to design the Academy's program. I'm excited today that Mr. Douglas will share some of his perspectives on education with us. I'm going to ignore the fact that the sign just fell. He has been a principal of the ISD high school, middle school, and elementary school during his career. He knows real-life education issues our systems face every day, having served in key leadership roles since 2004. Currently, he is continuing to change lives through education at the University of North Texas as Executive Director of Pre-College Initiatives with the university. My fellow Democrats, an extraordinary educator, the ISD Principal of the Year, and the man I am proud to know, Mr. Nakia Douglas.
Good morning. It's pretty strong. I'm sorry, I'm a teacher by craft, and so therefore I will take the privilege of grabbing the mic if it's not working. And I see the technology is not working, so I'm going to make this work. I am privileged to educate, teach students to become advocates, and ultimately to create the leaders of tomorrow. I've done so within the scope and the realm of our inner city schools. I'm a product of South Dallas. I'm a graduate of Dallas Lincoln, first generation college student. And so it was a proud moment to witness and hear the words spoken by the two young sisters that were coming forward to speak on behalf of what I'm here to do. I have the responsibility and those who are in this field of education with me, specifically within Dallas, within the 75216, 75241, to represent students and parents and families below 30. Students that are in militarized campuses where they walk through the metal detectors every day. Students that are living in communities that are food deserts. Students that are living in communities where they feel, unfortunately, at times more traumatized than supported by our law enforcement. So what I have the opportunity and the privilege to do is to show a light and to show those students that roses can't grow beyond concrete. So in regards to building a rose beyond concrete, there's a hope that has to be given. I am proud of the work that we were able to do at the Barack Obama Leadership Academy, but I'm even more proud of the work now that we're doing at the University of North Texas at Dallas in regards to building trio and pre-collegiate programs for young men and young women in the southern sector of Dallas who don't have a voice, who have fears of what tomorrow will be for them. Because once we educate them, they become those advocates and they become those leaders, they will be transformative in their work. Because there's an expectation through our work each and every day that we develop students academic, emotional, ethical, physical, and social skills with transformational impact in life, school, and leadership. The reason we say life first and foremost, they're going to become advocates for themselves and for others. So whereas those young men and those young ladies were speaking earlier about having those counselors, it's one thing to have the counselor in the building, but it's another thing to have access to that counselor. The accountability and requirements for counselors is as such where there are statistics that out of 360 students, there's one counselor for those students. So that conversation in regards to that child's social and emotional development and their welfare may be very brief because I have a high caseload. When those students become those advocates, they have formed those relationships with that counselor. The counselor has an understanding of who they are and whose they are. But then ultimately, that counselor is becoming more intentional with the supports and services for that student and for others. Because beyond the accountability are our students. Our students are not numbers. Our students are not meant to be martyrs because we're losing them within our schools. Our students are our future. And so while we have those two young ladies speaking, my challenge and charge to not only you all, but also my congressional district is that we bring other students and educate them, teach them to become advocates and ultimately to lead, because those of us that are in our season, our time is coming to an end. And if we're not preparing the next generation, they're going to lead themselves. If they're leading themselves, unfortunately, there's some pitfalls that they can fall into, but there's a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that is within these walls and within the walls of our community that needs to be shared. Bring a student, bring a family member, so they can understand this democratic process that our country is founded on. They said education is the pillar of our democracy. So what happens when we're not providing adequate education? TRIO is one of the programs that provides that adequate education. Our school systems are one part of the programs that provide that education. My challenge to you all and to all the candidates that are here to remember that education is the pillar of our democracy. And without it, what we do to the least of these will be all held accountable for. Because those students that unfortunately are carrying out these terrible acts within our schools were missed. Because that counselor had 300 or 400 students on the case. We can't miss any more students. We can't make any mistakes with regards to who we are putting through the plans. We cannot hold and go without holding each other accountable. It's my privilege again to lead this work. And for everything that you all are doing here, we're working 10 times harder to make sure we're doing in the southern sector of Dallas to educate the least of our students. Thank you all for your time, and congratulations on the work that you all are doing today.
He has a slide or two. So go ahead.
Militarization of schools. This is the life of our students every day. They walk into buildings and they're frisked, just like you go into security in our airports. They come from broken homes. They're, in most instances, first-generation college students and or high school graduates. The compelling why. We look at specifically in regards to the likelihood of students being suspended at least once. 1 in 20 Caucasian students, 1 in 14 Latino students, 1 in 13 Native American students, 1 in 6 African American students, 1 in 4 African American students with disabilities. Someone is missing our students. We talk about education being a new civil rights issue. We are not educating our students. We're not preparing them. They're not becoming advocates for themselves and for others. We can't stand and we can't underscore the loss of what we're having within our communities. We have to educate and upgrade our schools the same way we upgrade our phones. Every 6 months we know the new iPhone is coming out, or every 6 months we know the new Samsung is coming out. When we think about how we have to upgrade our schools, it's really things that can be fine-tuned within the systems. Looking at the curriculum, that's making sure that it's relevant. Making sure that there are multiple learning approaches with regards to all the students' academic needs. Assessments that is built on diagnosing the students' needs, and so therefore building the instruction beyond that. Organizational structure that structures, supports, and believes in the needs of our students. Finally, school-wide efforts that promote health, excellence, and safety. That's what our young ladies were talking about earlier. They know that they want to be successful, but sometimes they just need that self-assuredness that comes with that social and emotional support and development that makes them strong. And finally, a shared vision by all. Again, develop students' academic, emotional, ethical, physical, and social skills for transformational impact in life, school, and leadership. There's a whole saying, where there is no vision, the people shall perish. And so therefore, we have to make sure we have a clear vision of what we expect to see and hold those persons accountable for what's happening in our schools. Engagement, encouragement, exposure, environment, and excellence. The expectations not only for the students, but for the faculty and staff members, for the parents, community, and those in leadership. And finally, those pillars, those expectations, the partnerships that are necessary. Again, that charge for you all to come in and bring more students. It's a shame that those young men and young women from E.D. Walker not only posted the colors, but none of them were staying back to be educated about what's happening here at their school and their neighborhoods. Student expectation, houses, community service, traditions that the students remember. All of us are here because someone brought us along. Those traditions are established by way of us as griots and as elders bringing forth the next generation. And finally, what we're doing here at the Upper Bound University of North Texas at Dallas. Trio programs for the Upper Bound students and the 9th and 12th grade students to give them a foundation for not only to complete high school, but to have success in college. Within my McNair students, we're creating the next generation of PhD students. These again are students who were educated, we're teaching them to become advocates, and finally they will lead in our society tomorrow. Our students, our schools, the holistic development of our students, what they're going to experience on Saturdays. And again, thank you all for your time. And again, my challenge and my charge is to remember that education is our key to our tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we're going to try to get in a few candidates very quickly because many of them have to move on to another event. So who is first? And Brandon Chambers. Brandon Chambers is running for District 112.
Hey, everybody. All right, I'm Brandon Chambers. I want to keep this as quick as possible. I'm running for Texas House District 12 because I am tired of being represented by a person who is A-rated by the NRA. I am tired of being represented by a person who is a woman that votes against women. I'm tired of being represented by a person who says she's strong on education but keeps voting to defund it. I'm tired of being represented by a person who is an immigrant but votes against immigrants. I'm ready to stand up and say we deserve better because I believe that we do. All right? So we can do that. My district is fairly conservative, not as conservative as some of these other places, but let me tell you, we can make a difference. We can change. The fact that you guys are here tells me that we can do this if we believe. We have to believe we deserve better. We have to reach out to our neighbors and we have to reach out to our community to make sure that they know they deserve better. Okay? So everyone here, we need all these candidates. We need your donations. We need your time. We need you blog walking, calling people, send in mailers, do whatever you can to reach out. Because if we believe we deserve better, we will get better. Okay? So I'm asking you to believe in us. Believe in Texas, believe that we will get there, believe that we will be blue, believe in Brady. Thank you so much.
Next we have Joanna Cadena, running for House District 108.
Hey there, everybody. My name is Joanna Cadena, and I'm running for State Representative in House District 108, which is uptown, downtown, East Dallas, the Park Cities, Bluffview, and it's a smidge of Ruskin Hollow, so you know it's nice and democratic. But I'm here today with a simple message, and I am going to keep it short and sweet because as those kids have told us and as educators have told us, we have to do something. At 11:30, I'm joining fellow educators and moms in Dallas to participate in the March for Our Lives, and they have asked a very special request of us. They want us to stand as guardians for these children who are going to be marching in our future. I'm an educator with 10 years of experience. I'm a mom in East Dallas. I have guns in my classroom because the state legislature saw fit to put a campus carry bill across. And I'm standing here as the most powerful weapon in Texas. I'm a mom, and I'm mad, and I'm an educator. And I'm going to do what the kids told us to do. No BS on this nonsense. So I don't know why y'all are sitting, because we're in a blue tie. And I need everybody to rise up and join every single one of these campaigns right here. Every one of us need a volunteer. Every one of us needs your vote. Every one of us needs you to work harder than you have ever worked before. And I'm going to run out of this auditorium, change my heels, put on tennis shoes, grab a red t-shirt, and dare one of those open carry advocates to say something to a child in downtown Dallas. Because I am committed to protecting our children. I am committed to making change at the state level. And I am committed to turning this state blue. I'm Joanna Cadena. I'm running for House District 108. And I am so proud to be here. I am so proud to be a Democrat. And I am so proud to stand with our future generation in a few minutes in downtown Dallas. Thanks so much.
running for Texas Supreme Court, place 2.
Good morning, I am Judge Stephen Kirkland. I am your candidate for Texas Supreme Court place 2, and I know I don't need to spend a whole lot of time convincing Democrats to vote Democrats. I got that. But we do need a reason to show up, and if these folks don't do it, you've got reasons up and down the ballot. We have running for the statewide judicial offices, we have 5 good judges, good Democrats running for the statewide judicial offices. And we're all running for one reason. It's time to restore the balance. Now, I don't need to tell Democrats that the Republican Party has gone off the deep end with the crazy people. But you may not have thought, and may not have understood, that those crazy people are also in your courts. And they are your judges. And they are your statewide judges. They're the ones setting the rules. They're the ones making the law. And that has got to stop. For too long, thank you. For too long, I have looked at Texas Supreme Court opinions and tried to understand what they were doing. Tried to apply legal reasoning, tried to apply constitutional reasoning, tried to apply legal precedent to it, and I could not make heads or tails of it. The only way I could make heads or tails of it was to understand that these folks run in the Republican primary. And when you start making law based on right-wing politics of the Republican primary, you come up with some very strange crap. And I can't make it any simpler than that. It's just crap. They routinely put up obstacles to folks like you and me getting into court. They routinely make up highways for their right-wing friends to come to court and complain about our government policies. They've gutted the Open Beaches Act. They've taken a big chunk out of the Open Records Act. They are coming after every one of our progressive statutes that have been out there since the 70s. And they're slowly chipping them away so that we become a banana republic. That has to stop, and we need to remember that it's up and down the ballot. Now you've got 5 candidates running for the statewide judicial offices. You have Judge Sando, Judge Robbie Sando, who is a second-generation immigrant military brat, and yes, I'll be quicker. A military brat, cancer survivor. You have Judge Maria Jackson, who is taking on Judge Keller, who infamously closed the courthouse to a death penalty appeal, saying courthouse closes at 5 o'clock. You have me, a white gay boy from West Texas, who had to learn to love himself and overcome alcohol addiction in order to stand up in front of you and contribute to my city. Thank you. I've been sober for over 30 years, and I have done a lot of good things with that, including creating Houston's Homeless Recovery Court, creating homeless housing in Houston, as well as running for and being part of the Blue Wave in Houston in 2008. Together, with your help, we are going to be a Blue Wave in 2018. We can do this together. Remember, it's up and down the ballot. I am Judge Stephen Kirkland. You can follow me at Judge SK on Facebook and at Stephen Kirkland on Twitter. Have a great convention to my fellow candidates. Thank you for letting me jump the line so I can get to the next one.
Just a reminder to the candidates, be kind to those who are still waiting and still would like to speak. Keep it as brief as you can. And now I would like to introduce my friend and my neighbor, Terry Meza.
I frequently get asked if I'm running again, to which I answer, I never stopped. I'm still running. Some of you know that in 2016 we came up short by only 64 votes. So anytime you see my GOP opponent, Rodney Anderson, feel free to call him Recount Rodney, because I paid good money for him to have that nickname, and you'll enjoy hearing it so much. And so now we're calling this year the rematch with Rodney. You hear people talk about turning Texas blue, and some of our fellow Democrats and maybe people you know, and maybe even yourself, have said, well, that's not going to happen this year. That's sometime in the future. I came here today to tell you that Dallas County is ground zero for turning Texas blue. In SB16 which includes House District 105. That future is as close as November 2018. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have another female candidate. She is running for U.S. Congress. Jan McDowell.
Hello, I'm Jan McDowell, running in District 24. That includes the northwest portion of Dallas County. There you go. I saw some of those precinct members over in that corner of the auditorium. I am so proud to be the candidate in this race against Republican Kenny Marchant. He's currently serving his 7th term, which is about 6 or 7 too many. It's too important when you watch what's coming out of Washington every day. We need a Congress that's going to be that check and balance on our executive branch. That's how our Constitution is intended to work. And for the Congress to not stand up and be that check is unacceptable. So we need to turn those seats blue. I'm a CPA. I've come at the position with a perspective of dollars and cents. I've got my red shirt on already because I've already been to Denton County this morning. I'm headed to Fort Worth this afternoon, so I'm not going to get to participate in one of the marches, but I can certainly wear the red shirt and be supportive of the students and everybody else in this country that wants the common sense gun sense. So I would appreciate, just like all these other candidates, your support, your donations, your volunteer help, and just that blue wave building to move all of us on to victory in November. Thank you.
Okay, real quick announcement before I introduce Adam. Okay, right there. I'm told that some of you who are leaving at noon to go to the march, if you want to go ahead and get your lunch, if you pay for it ahead of time, you can do so. Go to the far end, kind of near the exit, and stand in line and go ahead and get your lunch. So just a little word to the wise there in case you're interested. We will break later. We've got a lot to do before then, but in case you need to go early. Adam Zimmerman is representing the Texas Democratic Party and Chairman Hinosa. Adam, please come forward.
Thank you. Trying to be the quickest one because I'm not asking for your vote. I'm asking for your time after today. The Texas Democratic Party is working on tons of different things. We're working to boost the blue wave to every corner of Texas, but we're also working to make sure that there's infrastructure left behind for 2020, 2022, and so on, so we can keep Texas blue. So that's what the party's working on. We are here to help you, to help the county chairs, to help the precinct chairs. Anything you need, talk to the county chairs, they can talk to us. They can help you, we'll help you. So use us as a resource. We need y'all's help too. The state party in Austin can't turn the state blue by itself. We need dedicated Democrats who are willing to give up their Saturday, willing to give up their Sundays, weekends all the way through to November. They're not going to wait till November to get involved. They're going to be involved in July, in June, in May, in April, and the rest of 12 months a year, every year, not just when we have something like Donald Trump to run against. We have great candidates to run for, to vote for, to canvass for, and to volunteer for. So that's what the party wants to emphasize to everybody. Thank you for coming out. And a couple of things, people are talking about the blue wave. You may hear people doubting that the blue wave is going to come in November. Let them know that the blue wave is already here. We had 110 candidates run for the nominations for the 36 congressional seats. We are contesting 90% of the state legislative seats, and we turned out over 1 million Democrats in a primary, in a midterm election. The blue wave is here. There's people like y'all who make that possible. Let us help you. Please help us. A couple of things, if you have any questions, Facebook, Texas Democratic Party. If you need VAN, the voter database, reach out to us for that. And I brought bumper stickers, so those will be out there. Feel free to take them and then donate to your local county party as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. We missed the period, but see you next time. In 1988, I met this man. We worked on the Gore campaign together, and we worked on, I don't know how many campaigns since then. But a great mentor of mine in politics is Judge Ken Goldberg. Ken, come on forward. And, he's running for something else.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. My name is Ken Hallberg. I'm the judge of the 95th District Court of the state of Texas. I'm running for the 5th District Court of Appeals. And more importantly, for our purposes today, for you Senate District 16 Democrats, I am honored to remind you that I represented you for many years as your state Democratic committee man in the 16th Court. Democrats, there are 13 Republicans on the Dallas Court of Appeals. It's been that way for many, many years. It's a district that's comprised of 6 counties, and in effect, it is your last stop in the justice system. There are 8 of those members up for election this time, and there are 8 Democrats who are going to take them out. And 7 of us are here today. Now here's what we need you to do. This is going to be a tough race for us. We risk a lot with it. But we are going to win this race and flip this court in one election cycle if you do one thing for us in Dallas County. Keep voting down ballot. Keep voting down ballot. If you keep voting down ballot, we will win. We will be proud, and we will have a Democratic appellate court and remove the most extremist appellate court in Texas. And the 6 people who are here with me today, including Riley Martina Kipnis, who will be in later, will be Aaron Now, Judge Robert Burns, Bill Peterson, Andy Lychek, Leslie Osborne, and Corey Carlisle. Give them a hand. God bless you all. Stay on your feet and keep moving.
Thank you, Judge Goldberg, and all of our candidates for the Court of Appeals.
All right, good. Even though the sign fell off the wall, this one is still over here. What Senate district are we? 16. And who is our senator? Don Huffines, but not for long, because my friend Nathan Johnson is running and is our nominee. Nathan Johnson. Everybody here, my goodness, can you imagine what the legislature is going to look like next term when instead of Lisa Luby Ryan, we have John Turner? When instead of Matt Riley, we have Julie Johnson? When instead of Hillary Myers, we have Joanna Kandak? Instead of Robbie Anderson, we have Terry Meza? Instead of Don Huffines, we have Nathan Johnson? District in the state of Texas. The press hasn't been all that quick in catching on, but they are. They are right now because they were looking to other places, they're looking at the history. There's been Republican control here for a long time. But it was said, as recently as 4 days ago, a reporter said, the race to watch in Texas is Senate District 16. It has started, and it will keep going. And part of the reason is because we have in this district the overlap of these highly competitive, highly funded races with extremely well-qualified and charismatic Democratic candidates like the ones you see against the wall right here. There's nothing else like this in the entire state. So it's an opportunity for us to seize what I'm seeing as a paradox. As the extreme right has taken control of our government and our legislature, values that were once kind of pushed out and considered fringe issues, we haven't moved to the center as Democrats. The issues that were once considered fringe, the center has gone to them. How about equality? Remember when that was supposed to be something that only like the left wing thought about? Today it is mainstream. Those of us who know it's the morally right thing to do, we are standing up for it. And those of you who are interested in economics, you know you cannot attract good employees unless you stand for equality. Same things happen with healthcare. The same things happen with feminine reproductive rights. All these social issues that used to be left are now center. The paradox of Dan Patrick taking over is that our values are now right in the middle and we can pull everybody along with us. This is an important race, and it's really what I'm doing. We have a huge opportunity, and huge opportunities equal one thing, huge responsibility. So let's all do it. Let's transform the government in the state of Texas, starting right here in Senate District 16. Thank you all for being here.
All right, Sasha Moreno is running for Justice of the Peace.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Sasha Moreno. I'm running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4, Place 2. Precinct 4 includes Irving, Grand Prairie, Duncanville, DeSoto, Cedar Hill, Glen Heights, and Avila. It's a huge portion, western portion and south of the part of the county. I would love your support. I'm one of the few candidates that's actually in the runoff election this May. In case you want to remember those dates, runoff election is May 22nd, early vote is May 14th to the 18th. I would love to earn your support again. I'm very excited that we made it this far. I'm the only attorney in this race, and I would love to help. Yes. I'm sorry. Apologize. And I think, again, whatever happens in the primary, I hope that we can move forward because, again, I'm the only attorney in this race, and I think our community really needs help and support in order to get to the JP courts. I know most people don't think too much of the JP courts. It's a lower level court, but this is the one court that most of our community members will ever touch. So I want to implement policies such as night court, as well as a mediation clinic so people can settle instead of getting a judgment against them. And even those two policies can make a big difference for many of our community members. And so I hope I can earn your support and vote on May 22nd. And if you have any questions or would love to talk to me, please feel free to reach out to me. Go to my website, sashaforjp.com. Thank you.
All right, I have another friend coming up here, John Turner, who's running for House District 114.
Thank you. Well, next us. Thank you to David Briggs and David Bradley and Susan Bradley, all the organizers of this convention. And I want to thank all of you who are precinct chairs, all of you who are active and working for this effort this year. I'm John Turner. I'm running for District 114, Texas House. That's where we are right now. And I want to tell you just a little bit about what I stand for. And first and foremost, I stand for supporting and strengthening and investing in our public schools. That's my number one issue. I had a chance to be a lawyer for a group of about 88 school districts in Texas. We brought a lawsuit against the state to try to secure better funding for our schools. We weren't able to be successful in the Texas Supreme Court, but it gave me some real conviction about this issue, and I'm hoping that we will be successful in the legislature in accomplishing what we set out to do in that case. I can tell you other things I support and stand for, but in the interest of time, just trust me, you'll agree with most of it. What I will say is, I want to say one thing though. I believe we need to all try to make 2018 a year in which we recommit ourselves to the American civic values that have made us a great nation. I'm talking about things like our commitment to the rule of law, our commitment to a level of decency in our political conversation, and to the principles that we just said this morning in our Pledge of Allegiance to liberty and justice for all. That matters at every level of life. Just so you know, I'm running in what is now an open seat, and it used to be occupied by Representative Jason Fiala. He lost to a primary challenger, Lisa Luby Ryan, who attacked him from the right for being insufficiently supportive of Donald Trump and for allegedly being a moderate. Folks, I've lived in this district, 114, a long time, and I know folks here care about their schools, they care about their teachers, their policemen, their firefighters, good medical care, doctors, nurses. This is an important year, and folks, I believe people in this district are going to see the appeal of our message this time. And if
if you agree with me and you agree that common sense and mainstream values are important in this election, I'm going to ask for your vote if you live in District 114. And whether you live in District 114 or not, I need your active help as a supporter, as a block walker, as a volunteer. With your help, we can win this election. Thank you very much. Pamela Luther is running for a criminal bench.
Hi, I'm Pamela Luther. I'm running for Dallas County Court of Criminal Appeals number 2. It's the only criminal court on the runoff ballot, May 22nd. I'll use my minute to let you know how I got into the criminal justice system. It's because of issues like today with moms demand action. I'm a mom who lost a child in a senseless accident because our legislators listen to big money over the people in the community. And so we don't want to let that happen. So it's across the board. It's not just guns. It's all kinds of, any kind of organization that gives legislatures lots and lots of money. They take that in exchange for the safety of our children and ourselves. So I care about everyone in my courtroom. I've been a prosecutor, I've been a public defender, and I've been a victim. And I'm a mom, I'm an angry mom who's educated, just like I heard before. And so I'm going to get out there and march, and please get out there and vote for me in the runoff. I'm Pamela Luther for Dallas County Court of Criminal Appeals number 2.
All right, somebody else I know a long time is Judge John Crusoe. When I need a lawyer, I call him. He's one of the most respected judges in the history of Dallas County, and he's going to make a fabulous district attorney. John Crusoe.
First of all, thank you all very much for your support. As you know, our campaign slogan was hardwork.com. And I want to tell you, as you know, I started the Divert program back in 1998, which means we're about to celebrate 20 years. And let me tell you what that did when we talk about hard work and hard work. First of all, we had that court on Tuesday night so people could work. Okay, number one. Number two, it was such a success that when we realized we were about to just go crazy building prisons in the state of Texas, the legislature took that model and adopted it. And if you don't know this, we have closed 8 prisons in the state of Texas. So when candidates talk about ending mass incarceration, you can look right here to Dallas County, you can look to your Dallas County judges, and you can look to the Divert Court as the beginning of ending mass incarceration. And I want you to please support me in my bid for district attorney. We can get this office back. I think it'll be a lot of hard work, but it'll be a lot of hard work because I know that you'll be with me. And I want to thank you for the support that you've given me, and I don't want to take over my minutes, so thank you very much.
Next up, we have another speaker who's going to speak to us about state funding and charter schools. This is Lori Kirkpatrick. She's a former candidate for Dallas School Board position 2. Lori?
Thank you so much. My goal here today is to fire you people up about public education. Because in case you haven't heard, public education is under fierce attack. So, Texas was recently ranked as low as 47th in the nation for per pupil funding. And in 2011, the state of Texas cut public school funding by $5.4 billion. They've added some of that back, but not nearly enough, and enrollment has continued to grow all that while. So we are severely underfunded. And you guys know who's funding it because you see it on your property tax bills. We need to stand strong and get our state legislators to fund properly public education. That has to include full day pre-K. Socioeconomic members of our society. It must include that. I testified in Austin this week
to the Commission on Public School Finance. And all 11 of the members are just wide-eyed, completely unsure as to where this funding is going to come from. Person after person after person gave testimony about how we need to fund public education. And they continually asked, but where? Where are we going to get the money? I've got two answers. Number one, standardized testing. Get rid of that. There's a place for standardized testing, but not the way we are using it. We are using it for high stakes. If you don't know what high stakes is, look it up, but I'll explain to you briefly. We use it to label a school as failing. This year, we're going to start labeling our schools A through F, grading our schools A through F based on standardized test results. That's one way we use it. The other way we use it right here in Dallas, Texas, is we use it to determine if our teachers are effective or ineffective based on the standardized test results of our 90% student population who are economically disadvantaged. Guess what? They have low standardized test scores. So a teacher who pours his or her heart and soul into that classroom every day gets labeled as ineffective because she or he is being graded on the standardized test results of their students. That system is called TEI, or the Teacher Excellence Initiative. That is not the system we want, yet there are folks down in Austin pushing to have that implemented statewide. So I'm going to need you guys to stay vigilant, be aware, be active. We don't need to enhance and encourage more standardized testing. How much money could that bring us? The estimates are all over the map. I'm sure the standardized test makers know how much money that could bring us, but good estimates are $1 billion. That's just in standardized testing. The second place we can get this money is charter school funding. I'm ready to call for a moratorium on the charter school industry. And let me tell you why. This year, 2017, 2018, the TEA website posts the budget forecast is $2.56 billion to the charter schools. So even I can do the math. There's $3.56 billion between standardized testing and charter schools. We could fund a lot of serious public education. Furthermore, the charter school industry has been in our state for 23 years. 23 years they've had the opportunity to innovate and improve public education. Well, every year for 23 years, the independent school districts, the ISDs, have outperformed the charter schools in almost every measure, every single year. So the charter schools don't keep pace with the independent school districts. It's created a two-tiered system. We got one pot of money, folks. That's duplication of resources. I'll say it again. We need a moratorium on the charter school industry. And I'll wrap it up with this. That brings me to my third point. If we can't support a two-tiered system, we sure can't support a three-tiered system, and that is vouchers. Every year, for every biennium, they want to come and get a voucher law passed, a bill passed. By any name, and I've looked them up, education savings grants, education savings accounts, tuition tax credits, low-income voucher, tuition tax deduction, charitable tuition tax credit, etc. They're all vouchers. There's no accountability whatsoever with vouchers, but we cannot fund a voucher system. We must support the public education system that vows to educate all of our children. That is the independent school districts. Voucher and charter programs simply further promote segregation of our education system. It diminishes the equity. We must have an educated populace, not only to sustain, but to enrich a thriving democracy. A friend of mine was at an education event last night with some superintendents from around the state, and she sent me this via text that one of them had summed up the point of education this way: collaborate with family and community to create citizens capable of self-governance. I support that statement wholeheartedly. I hope that you guys do too, that you stand up, get active. Let's get public education back where it needs to be in the great state of Texas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. We have just a tiny bit of business to take care of here before we continue with our candidates. This is a convention, so we are in the process of working on some things. I just wanted to let you know that the Credentials Committee has reported that the temporary role has been established, so that's the next item that we need to work on. The Credentials Committee at this moment is crunching the numbers, and they'll come back with a report momentarily, and then we will adopt the permanent role of the convention. I just want to acknowledge two judges who've not spoken, but I know they're here. Judge Sally Montgomery is back there in the crowd at some place, and Judge Tina Yu. Raise your hands or stand if you all are here. Also, County Judge Clay Jenkins, who was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but you're welcome to speak to Clay if you'd like. So next we have Winnie Cannon, who is running for the County Commissioner place number 2.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to tell you something. I'm Winnie Cannon, and I'm running in District 2. And you know, a lot of people told me, why bother? This is the promised seat for Republicans. Republicans have said that they have more numbers than we do, and even some of our tragic Democrats say we can't do it. Well, I'll say, yes, we can. You know, a bumblebee is, his body is not designed aerodynamically to fly. But guess what? That bumblebee flies anyway because he believes in himself. And I believe that our county commissioners court plays a vital role. We're the last thing on the ballot, but we play a vital role in terms of public safety, transportation, roads and bridges, the Parkland Hospital, the courts and the jails. So we have our county judges, Democrat, and 3 of the other commissioners are, and I look forward to joining them. So if your precinct starts with 2, we came out 24,622 in the primary. So I'm asking you, I'm challenging you to bring 4 people with you, and we will more than certainly accomplish this goal. Thank you so much.
I want to recognize Judge Nancy Mulder. She is also in the crowd, and thank you very much for coming, Judge. Our next speaker is Chica Adiem, who's also running for a criminal bench. Chica, please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I am Chica Adiem, and I'm your proud Democratic nominee for Judge of the Criminal District Court number 7. Thank you. Thank you all so much for your support, for everyone who made this democratic process a big success. I do have a Republican opponent, and so I'm not taking anything for granted. And I would love for all of us to please ride this blue wave, this big blue wave that will knock all these Republicans out of office and replace them with good Democrats. Thank you so much, and let's move forward.
Thank you. Next we have Sandra Jackson, who's running for family court. We're going to do the second pitch.
Well, hello, Senate District 16. Hello, thank you all, Susan, to David and David. Thank you so much for your support, all of you who supported us during the primary. I am Sandra Jackson. I am the Democratic nominee for the Family District Court, 302nd Family District Court. I do not have a Republican opponent in the fall. I am a lifelong Democrat, and I am here to work. I'm here to work for everyone else who's on this Democratic ticket. I'm here to work with the coordinated campaign. I'm here to support anyone who's running, and I'm asking you to stay vigilant, stay involved, be a part of what we're doing. Listen, this is so critical for our county. I thank you for your vote. I thank you for supporting me, and I really, really look forward to November. Make sure you still vote for us. Go down ballot. It's a big ballot. You got to go down ballot, and you know this is the last year for a straight party ticket in November. We're going to have to be more diligent in terms of how we vote. So let's go down ballot and let's vote for every Democrat that we can. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Next, we have a great candidate for House District 115.
Thank you. So if you block walked in the primary, stand up. I'm serious, stand up. If you block walked in our primary, stand up. We need everyone who's not standing up to block walk in the general election. We've got to have people turn out. And I have the honor and privilege of being co-chair of the Rules Committee here. And I'm proud to let you know that we passed a rule that you all must block walk in my race 3 times. In general. What I want to focus my comments on are just that, the activism of the Dallas Party. We have an amazing opportunity in November if we turn out our vote. We have great candidates. We all agree on all these wonderful issues to support public education, but we cannot do it by ourselves. We must have an army of energized Democrats willing to go door to door and expand that personal ask. Because that personal ask to that voter, that when you say, I'm standing out here on a Saturday afternoon in the hot heat because these issues are important to me and they need to be important to you, and I'm asking you to come vote. Will you vote? And when they look in your eyeballs and they say, yes, I will vote, that is what is going to turn Dallas blue, all up and down Dallas. And you are ambassadors. You're precinct chairs. You are lead advocates. You're here on a Saturday giving your time today. You are the messengers. And if we only have 20% of you block walking, that's not enough. Because it's that personal block walk. In our race, in our primary, we had record turnout because we knocked over 10,000 doors. We had an amazing army of people and staff going door to door. And that is what it's going to take in every one of these House races. Because the Texas House will govern our gerrymandered districts. We've got to flip these House seats. We have amazing opportunities. I'm very excited about 115. I'm very excited about many of the other House races here in Dallas. If we do that, then we can fix the hot mess that is our gerrymandered districts. And that is what we need to do to fix all of our races all up and down the ballot. So thank you for your support. Thank you for being Democrats. Thank you for being here, being present, because it's important. Because we all need it. The voters of Dallas need it, and the voters of Texas need it. Thank you all so very much.
All right. Next, we have a candidate for a local race a lot of you have been very interested in. Congressional District 32, Lillian Salerno.
Thank you. First, I just wanted to thank Susan and David and everybody that's put this together.
I'm Lillian Salerno, and I want to be your next congresswoman from the 32nd District. Who here would like to get rid of beat sessions? I can agree on. I'm in a Democratic runoff for the primary that's being held on May 22nd, and the reason I think I'm positioned to beat Pete Sessions is I've been working on behalf of working families and complicated problems all my life, even when people weren't looking. I've been standing up for nurses. I've been standing up for people that didn't have a voice when I adopted my 2 daughters from Mexico so they could have a better life. When I stood up for AIDS patients and nurses in the middle of the AIDS epidemic. When I was an attorney representing vulnerable populations. Our democracy is at risk today. We need to win this seat. The whole country's relying on us. And we need somebody who goes up there and knows how to fight, that not only talks about change, but has made change. And what you get in me is somebody who's going to fight for you. There is no amount of money somebody can offer me that will make me work against your interests. I'm Lillian Salerno, and I want to be your next congresswoman because I can beat Pete Sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lillian. I am honored to get to introduce the next 3 guys, the 3 Musketeers, because Susan said I should do that. But I'm an attorney, a civil attorney, and I practice in their courts, so I know that they are excellent jurists. And I'm so proud that the 3 of you chose to come today and to be here. So we're going to go with tallest first. How's that? Judge Carl Ginsburg. Thank you.
Good morning, Senate District 16. Good morning. My name is Carl Ginsburg, as David says. I'm in a runoff election. This is my 3rd Senate District I've been to this morning. The first one was in a Union Hall. The second one was a church, and now we're here in a school. And I think that's rather symbolic and tells us what the Democratic Party is about. It's about fighting for working people. It's about being committed to acts of charity and loving kindness in so many religious organizations and other non-profit organizations are devoted to. It's about education. So I think that's pretty symbolic. How many of you here are here for your first Senate District Convention? Okay, quite a number of you. Give yourself applause. I've been in the trenches of the Democratic Party for years now. I attended my first Senate District Convention almost 2 decades ago. And 6 years later, I was running for office. So every one of you that raised your hand, you're here for the first time, and hopefully 6 years from now or sooner, you'll be running for office. Okay? That's what it's about. It's about grassroots. As I said, I'm proud to have been a Democrat all my life, but been active in the trenches, working for other people, trying to get Democrats elected, whether it's block walking, phone calling, licking envelopes for, like I say, almost 20 years. I'm a Democrat because I believe in fairness, freedom, opportunity, equality of opportunity, and no person should be oppressed by poverty, ignorance, or conformity. Those are my values. I hope they're your values as well. They were my values when I practiced law before I became a judge, representing ordinary people, and they're my values as I serve as a judge. I'm proud of my record. I have the highest disposition rate of any civil district court, according to the last county measurement report. I'm board certified. I ask for your vote in the runoff election, May 22nd. Carl Ginsburg. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Another district judge, another great mentor of mine is Judge Martin Hoffman.
Good morning, Democrats. My name is Martin Hoffman. I'm the judge of the 68th District Court, and I'm running for my 4th term. I was part of the class of 2006 with Judge Ginsburg and Judge Tapscott that first turned Dallas County blue. I agree with Judge Ginsburg. This is about democratic values, and I'm honored to say that I've been involved in the Democratic Party my entire life. I first got involved in Democratic politics when I was 18. I became president, the youngest president ever of the Texas Young Democrats. Anyone here remember our old governor, Ann Richards? I had the honor to serve as her state youth coordinator, organizing college clubs across
the state of Texas, and I continue to stay involved and express my Democratic values until I ran for judge in 2006. Well, since I've been on the bench, I've tried to express my Democratic values in every way that I know how. One of those ways is I've developed a foreclosure program that has given homeowners a voice in the foreclosure process. It's given homeowners an opportunity to learn about their options and attend mediation. And as a result of this program, we have saved dozens and dozens and dozens of families from home foreclosure. I live in SD16. Does anyone here have any Republicans in their precinct? My district is overwhelmingly Republican. But there's a lot of Republicans in my precinct. And I will tell you, I get asked a lot of time, and I'm sure you get asked a lot of time, does it make any difference to have Democratic judges? Why do we even vote for judges? Why does it make a difference? I will tell you what my Republican predecessor said when I asked him how should I handle this foreclosure process. He told me, Judge, just sign the application. If I had done that 11 years ago, there would be dozens and dozens and dozens of families out on the streets. So it makes a difference when you go out and vote in the primary, in the runoff, and in the general election when you elect Democratic judges. But I've also tried to make a difference outside the courtroom where I've mentored over 250 students, high school students, college students, and law students, including some of them who are here today. Marcella, if you want to stand up, I don't know if you're in here. She's a Skyline student, and the honor of mentoring her over the last number of months. And as a result of that, I won an award from the African American Bar Association, the first non-African American member of the bar, to be awarded this, the Convention Mentor Award, as well as from a number of the bar associations, because I believe in democratic values, and part of democratic values is giving back. And finally, I would ask you, you guys are some of the most informed voters we have in Dallas County. And it's so important that you go out and vote in the Democratic runoff. Early voting starts on May 14th. I will tell you, I've mentioned a number of people I've had a runoff, and they say, oh yeah, I'm voting for you on May 5th. That is when the municipal election is between now and then. I said, no, you need to wait until May 14th and May 18th. We're on election day on May 22nd. So I ask you, please remember the runoff. This is a critical election. We have a gubernatorial election. We have a congressional district election up here. We have a number of other elections, including 4 judicial seats. You guys will make the difference. Please, Judge Martin Hoffman, 68th District Court, I ask for your support.
Okay, the next of our 3 excellent incumbent jurists is Judge Ken Tapscott, County Court Judge, number 4, I believe. All right, Judge Tapscott, please come forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Tapscott. I'm the presiding judge of County Court of Law number 4. This is my 12th year of service for Dallas County. Before I get started, I just wanted to tell you something to make you feel good about yourselves. This week, the Texas Democratic Party evidently had to shut down briefly the ability of Democrats to sign up to attend their senatorial conventions because they were getting email addresses that had Russian signatures. So, but that should make you feel good as a Democrat, because not only are the Republicans afraid of us, so are the Russians. Now, this runoff election is important. I want to touch briefly on the primary, the primary was dynamic. It was dynamic, wasn't it? There was a lot of energy. We lost some things though, as a party, and we lost 2 award-winning judges, an award-winning domestic violence judge. We lost a judge who was board certified in civil law and was on Barack Obama's short list to be a United States federal judge. One of 3 finalists. We lost that. We lost 24 years of judicial experience. What's at stake in our runoff election is 36 more years of judicial experience. In the time that I have been a judge, I have put over 420 cases to jury verdict, more than any other civil judge in the last 11 plus years. I've adjudicated over 1,600 non-jury cases. I take my job seriously, and that's what you all elected me to do. Do the job and do it well. But I've tried to be not only the best judge I could be, but also be the best Democrat I could be. In the time that I've been a judge, and as Democrats, you know this, sometimes people get elected and then they act like they got there all by themselves. Don't they? In the time that I've been a judge, I've donated over $100,000 of either my campaign funds or personal funds, either to the Dallas County Democratic Party to promote our agenda or to help other Democrats get elected. That helps white Democrats, black Democrats, Hispanic, Asian Democrats. I'm a team player. Since the time that I've been a judge, I want you to know that I've had your back and I know you've had mine. But I need your help in the runoff. I've upset some very rich people. 4 years ago, I threw out a medical malpractice case where the expert admitted 10 days prior to trial, and his expert opinion had no support in the medical literature. In other words, we could have walked out of the George Allen courthouse, we could have set it on fire. That's what it was worth. But the people who were promoting that case, they were upset about that. Now, I was affirmed on appeal in every decision I made. They said Tapscott got it right. Court of Appeal said he got everything right. But they recruited an opponent against me who has almost zero civil experience. This is important. This is a moment of truth for our party. We are in control of Dallas County politics. Everybody in this room knows that the Dallas County Democratic Party is in control of Dallas County politics. We are in control about the type of people that we send to the judiciary in this county. It's our opinion that matters. It's our opinion because the Republicans aren't putting up opponents. So we are in control. It is incumbent on all of us, every single one of us, to make sure that the people that we send to the benches in Dallas County, if it's a criminal bench, a qualified criminal lawyer. If it's a civil bench, a qualified civil lawyer, to make sure that we deliver qualified people to the benches in this county. If we don't do that, we fail our responsibility. I would like to continue to serve Dallas County. I believe I've been a really good Democrat. Last year, I received the award from the Dallas County Democratic Party as Dallas County Democratic Elected Official of the Year. I'm the only judge that's ever been honored with that award. I'd like to continue to serve you, and I sure hope that you would like to have me continue to serve you in this county. I ask for your vote on May 22nd. Thank you.
Wonderful thing about being an activist in the Democratic Party is that you make so many good friends. So I'm going to introduce you to one of my good friends, Retta Bowers, running for House District 113.
Thank you so much, and what an honor to not only be standing here again in front of you, but to be introduced by my good friend and someone who is a tremendous support in both of you, committeemen and committeewomen. Thank you so much for all you do, and thank you for planning this great day. I am Retta Andrews Bowers, second time candidate for state representative for House District 113. And I'm so very proud to be back as the Democratic nominee. So I have to say thank you to all of you in this room. The one thing that I want to start with is something that hit me as I walked into the doors of this school. Getting through the primary this year with a primary opponent had its set of challenges. I ran in 2016 unopposed, so naturally I won by 100%. And I was so proud of that 100% just because I wanted to see how many people would have voted for me in 2016. Well, with the primary opponent in 2018, we, with your help, because as Democrats we work as a team, we beat that opponent with 65% of the vote. And that 65% came in almost to the digit as the early votes dropped. And I will tell you, because as much as I'm a political candidate, I'm a spiritual woman. And what I have to say is that I made a wager with Christ. And I felt convicted by doing that because I told him, God, I want to win by 75%. And I felt like that was a lot. You know, I had elected officials sharing with me that they won by 75%, and I thought, that's a lot to ask. But I told God that I would settle for 65. And He gave it to me. So He gave it to me thanks to you. Thanks to you all. So we at the Bowers campaign by no means could have gotten that 65 without all of you. There were the endorsements that came in, and endorsements that came in with mailers that I have to say we could not afford. And I bring that up because elections unfortunately do cost money. And in the middle of that primary, I have to bring up that I'm the second-time chair of the Dallas Women's March. And so there I was, leading and trying to recruit and trying to manage, pulling off a march that is a major movement, and in the back of my mind, knew I had a primary. My primary opponent, I will say, showed up at the march. I almost took it as an insult, but I think he realized the power of the female, the power of the movement, and what he had really stepped into. So I'm so grateful to be standing back here as the Democratic nominee. I'm ready to move towards the general. I have to pause and say that we know that as we've got on the wall, public education is the pillar of democracy. But if it is, you all, we have to do something about making changes, because if by definition, public education is the process of systematic learning and giving, we know that it is not happening to its full potential in this state nor in this country. Before I became a candidate, I was a field organizer for other candidates, and it was the 2014 midterm that thrust me into that role. Believe it or not, I thought that that job was a part-time job. I thought it was a summer job. I didn't realize that it was my life's work. I know that now. I have to say that with public education not functioning at its best, you know, last year, it's already been said today, in 2016, we knew that charter schools and vouchers was where some of that money could come from. We did some digging. I mean, my campaign manager is here with me today, and she sat there and watched me dig and try to figure out where the money could come from, because I knew that they were going to ask me that in the Dallas Morning News interview. And what I'll say before I get off this stage, I know that we need your help with door knocking, with phone calling, because we are a grassroots campaign. We need your help with just the day-to-day of making it happen. But I have to say that in 2016, as a first-time candidate, up against an incumbent, we almost beat Cindy Burkett, y'all. So I have to say that, which tells me, thank you, which tells me that we for sure can beat Jonathan Booth. And as they say, because he is, as Judge Hoffman said, there are many Republicans. As I live in SD16, there are so many Republicans, sometimes it gives me the shakes and the EBGBs. They're so close. But I can tell you this, because we almost beat Cindy with 45%, and she even knew she moved to run for Senate. So now, and I have to say, I do believe the Bowers campaign helped her, forced her into retirement. Because when she lost her bid for Senate, that meant it left us with an open seat, a real chance to flip this district this time. And I have to say that because my opponent is a Tea Party Republican. So we can do this. Let's band together like we have in the past, and let's get past November 6th victoriously and really flip this seat. We need House District 113, and I know that I'm the candidate and representative that the district needs. So thank you.
All right, we are honored and privileged to
have Senator Royce West from Senate District 23.
Let's give Senator West a 16 welcome.
Thank you, 16. Thank you, 61. I wanted to make certain that I go around to as many senatorial districts as possible. Even though you don't have a Democrat representing you right now, you will have one after this fall. My message to all senatorial districts is that we need to make certain that after all of the runoffs are over with and all of this stuff is over with, we must come back together as a party. We must make certain that we elect Democrats in the fall. There is a new energy that I feel around this country. You can look at what's going on today across the country with young people. It's basically saying things I've said even when Aaron Richards was governor. We have to make certain we continue to observe the Second Amendment, but we must have gun sense throughout this entire country. If you really pull up on social media, you will see in Fort Worth the thousands of young people that are saying the same thing that other young people are saying across the country, that they are now of age. Many of them, their generation, frankly, has been victimized by individuals that have had high-powered, frankly, weapons they shouldn't have had, gone into our school systems and created mayhem. There's a move to say that we need to arm teachers. Well, they already voted on that in the state of Texas. As opposed to teachers doing what we want them to do, that is teaching our children. And instead of focusing in on that, we should be focusing on making certain that we get the best and brightest teachers in our classroom and that we pay them what they should be paid. So 16, as I go to my seat, I'd ask you to make certain that you support Democratic candidates and that you do everything in your power this fall to make certain that Dallas County, frankly, remains the bluest county in the state of Texas, and that we do everything within our power to make certain that we elect Democrats to statewide offices. God bless each and every one.
All right, thank you. We've got, it looks like three speakers, and then we have some very important business we need to take care of before we take a little break for lunch. So I met a young man last night, his name is Taylor Larson, who worked diligently. He went home and brought a table because we needed another one. He helped us do a lot of things, and I'm hoping that he'll be a great leader in our party coming forward. But today he's here to represent Maria Ramos, who I guess she's at the march. So you want to come and tell us a little bit about your candidate?
Thank you. How you all doing, 16? My name is Taylor Larson. I'm here to say a little bit about Ana Maria Ramos. She is running for House District 102, which currently is owned by a Republican incumbent who likes to run on a public education platform, despite the fact that she is pro-voucher and pro-putting our public funds into charter schools. She's never taught a day of school in her life, and she likes to brag about her NRAA rating. Ana Maria, meanwhile, has taught public school, private school. She served as the executive director of El Centro College, where she still teaches. She cares about our children and wants to make sure they have a full and safe education, which is why right now she is at the march. Now, House District 102 was won by Hillary Clinton in 2016, despite the fact that we now have a Republican owning it. And I don't give you all this background about her and the Republican and Ana Maria because I'm worried about you voting for the Republican and that I need to convince you otherwise. I say all this to show you that Ana Maria, like all the candidates who have spoken today, can and will win in November. But this only happens if we have all of your support, if we all do what we need to do to make this happen. I look out and see everyone here today, and I know we all did not come out here on Saturday just to socialize and have fun. I know we do not hold events like this just to pat ourselves on the back over our shared beliefs and then go home happy. We come out here because we want to win. We like to talk about the blue wave coming and how we're going to do all these nice and great things when we take office. But that doesn't happen unless we do the work now for that to happen. So I hope that everyone I'm looking at right now and everyone who can hear about this will, before the day is over, find a candidate, find a campaign, go up and pledge your support for them. Say, I will donate to you. I will phone bank for you. I will block walk for you. I will do what I can. Because if we want the blue wave to come, we need to get these candidates to support now so we can ride the wave in November. Thank you.
And speaking of great friends, another one, Dominique Collins.
Hello, it's Dominique Collins. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. What I will say is I'm super duper happy and excited to see all of y'all here in the midterm. That makes me very, very happy. This place is full when they're doing the presidential. But midterm, I'm very, very happy to see that you are still here, still there, still voting, still marshaling all our blue Democratic support. So I just want to say, hey, I want to say thank you. I'm not on the ballot, but I will see you in 2020.
And last but not least, Judge Stacey Williams.
Thank you very much. My name is Judge Stacey Williams, and I want to tell you something. I've been under the Republican attack, but thank goodness for judges who follow the law. So in March, I got put back on the ballot, and for those of you who've been following, I was on the ballot for November. I withstood the Republican challenge. I think that deserves a clap. I appreciate all the precinct chairs, all the party activists, and those of you who are just interested in Democratic politics because we need your support. We need your support in the runoff, and we need your support in November. My opponent is a Republican who will not follow the law. He asked the judge to legislate from the bench. Kind of funny coming from a Republican. This person has run 5 times in the last 10 years. He has a problem with just targeting women and minorities. So I ask that you join me and let's put this guy to bed. He needs to stop running, and as my philosophy is, bye Felicia. He's got to go. Thank you.
All right, let's give all of our candidates one more round of applause. And thanks to all of you for bearing with this, because many of our candidates go to other districts this afternoon. Some of them want to go to the march. So it's unusual that we have so many right together, but we kind of had to adapt to the situation that we found ourselves in today. So thank you again for your patience. We do have some important business that we should take care of at this time. I understand that the Credentials Committee has their report, and I believe they have a recommendation as well. So if Aisha McClendon and Matt Andrade would come forward to give the report of the Credentials Committee.
Morning. The Credentials Committee report is as follows.
There are 202 credentialed attendees for the SD16 County Convention. Of those, 177 have indicated they would like to attend the state convention as delegates of the Senate District 16.
So a motion to adopt the Credentials Committee report of attendees. The motion is adopted. I'm sorry, can we vote on it? All the procedures.
All in favor?
All in favor? Any opposed? Great. Provided that the Credentials Committees do not exceed the report of those credentialed individuals don't exceed the allocated delegate count of 308, we will propose a motion to accept by acclamation credentialed candidates who have requested to go to state and registered on site today be accepted as delegates to the state convention. Any discussion? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. As such, there are a remaining number of delegates who show interest in to be delegates of the state convention that are not here today. Those that have filled out large forms and as well those who signed up online. And so for your information, that list of candidates will go to the nominations committee, and at a later point today, they will provide a nomination of candidates to fill the remaining 131 slots that we have available for us at the state convention. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt and Aisha. So there goes the report of the Credentials Committee. So we are ready to adopt the permanent role of delegates, or maybe that's what we did, Matt. We've essentially done that. Okay, so thank you both. All right, the next thing we need to do is to appoint our secretary and parliamentarian. That is a chair's discretion. Although at the county executive committee meeting in January, where Susan and I were elected to chair of the convention, we also elected Rhonda Green to be our secretary. So Rhonda, would you please stand and be introduced? Rhonda is charged with keeping the records of the event, and then she will fill out the official forms that we send on to the state. So Rhonda has a lot of work to do after today, right? You have to put it together. All right, we also have Christopher Burge, who is going to be our parliamentarian. Chris, would you please stand? Christopher was our parliamentarian 2 years ago, if you remember, and he also actually works here as a history teacher at Edie Walker. So he's been our liaison to the school. All right, we might want to introduce the committees, and then we'll take a break for a little while. We want to announce to you sort of who is on the committee. We're going to make appointments. Actually, the appointments have been made. We want to recognize those who are serving on the committee. You may see there are a lot of empty seats here. That's because we've got all these committees meeting in different rooms, dealing with some of the issues of the convention, the rules, the resolutions, and the nominations. So eventually we'll get those people back in here, but we'd like to introduce who is on those committees and who is chairing them. Susan, would you like to tell us who's on the credentials?
Okay, well, you just heard from the two chairs of the Credentials Committee, Aisha McClendon and Matt Andrade. The committee also consists of Samantha Best, Dory Cranshaw, Michelle Blaze, Lori Hawkins, Francine Lee, Kim Morris, and Robert Torres. Now, to fill the rest of our spots, the at-large forms will go to our nominations committee. That is co-chaired by Terry Hodge and Jay Nary. The members are Terry Irvin, Terry Hodge, Carol Jablonski, Annette Krause, Francine Lee, Tessa McGlynn, Jay Nary, Jenna Schwartz, and Mary Jane Stevenson. Okay, we also, the next one is the Platform and Resolutions Committee. What they do is anyone who submits a rules change or a platform plank, they will review those and discuss them and later they will present the ones that they've approved to the body to be voted on, to be passed on to the state level. And those people are co-chairs Liz Ginsburg and Bob Franklin, Tom Blackwell, Michael Lurick, Millie Dominic, Brian Dunnigan, Dale McEwen, Gordon Peterson, Brent Rubin, Jeffrey Sheldon, John Sheridan, Roll Smith, Melanie Smith, and Carl Zimmer. And this committee has been hard at work since about 8:30 this morning. So I think you'll find they've done an excellent job when they get out here.
That's true. The Resolutions Committee probably has the toughest job because they have, what, at last count, like 75 of them to go through. And they've also met a couple of times to try to get up to speed on it. So we need to be patient with those folks, and we're going to be hearing from those groups throughout the afternoon. In addition to the Platform and Resolutions Committee, we have the Rules Committee, which is co-chaired by Julie Johnson, our candidate for House District 115, and Paul Eller. The Rules Committee consists of Samantha Best, Joe Hogan, Chris Burge, Idora Caldwell, Brian McKay, Manju, Srivastava, Austin Stroh, and Tim West. So that is your Rules Committee. Now, the biggest committee, the largest, most incredible group of people that I've ever worked with is our Operations Committee. We've been meeting for about almost 2 months now, 4 or 5 meetings. Wednesday nights to plan for this event. As you can see, this didn't just happen. There was a lot of folks that put a lot of sweat into preparing for this. Alan Almodovar, Matt Andrade, Peter Barker, Terry Barker, Samantha Best, Tom Blackwell, David Bradley, Susan Bradley, me, Chris Burge, L.D. Carter, Bill Deal, Terry Urban, Tom Urban, Rachel Baker Ford, Bob Franklin, Roland Gary, Liz Ginsburg, Jacob Ginsburg, Michelle Glaze, Rhonda Green, Laura Hawkins, Marcy Helfand, Paul Heller, Michaela Hines, Jane Hoffman, Nikolai Hoskins, Billy Johnson, Annette Krause, Alicia Lanier, Aisha McClendon, Dale McEwen, Brian McKay, Linda Michelson, Sue Mottinger, Jane Herring, Gordon Peterson, Jeffrey Sheldon, Shelley Sheridan, Bill Shipp, Earl Smith, Melanie Smith, Mary Jane Stevenson, Austin Stroh, Robert Torres, Linda Webb, Kristen Williams, and Carla Zimmer. Let's give all of our committee members a hand.
I will say this, there were a few others who
joined us and did a lot of effort and made a lot of wonderful things in class, and were here last night setting up, who just didn't make the cutoff to have their names put in the program. And if you helped in any way last week or last night, please stand and let's recognize all of you for what you did. Please.
Thank you. Sorry, we had to go to print about a week ago with the program, and there's so many people who helped us last night.
And I also want to recognize Rachel Baker Ford one more time. Rachel put our program together and did a wonderful job.
And be sure you say something nice to her.
The next page is essentially the same group on page 4, our convention volunteers, which of course served as our Senate District Committee for this cycle. All right, so I believe we have come to the point where we can take just a little break before we come back and have the Rules Committee report. The Nominations Committee co-chair would like to visit with us. Jay?
Thank you, David. Yeah, I just want to let all of you know who are not already being sent to the state convention, if you would like to be considered as an at-large delegate, the nominations committee is now convening in room 111. So just grab your lunch, get a sandwich, and we will be in 111. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay. All right, we are going to set up some videos. We have videos from Beto O'Rourke, from Lupe Valdez, from the state chairman, from other candidates. We're going to be showing those this afternoon, so there will be things to see and do for the next few minutes. But If you want to take a quick break and run out and get your sandwich, this might be a good time. Let's see, what is it, 12:30? We'll be getting back to work here by or before 1 o'clock, so don't go far away. But this is a great time for a restroom break or a snack break. I suspect there's some leftover breakfast items out there as well if you did enjoy your lunch. So please come back here in about 20 minutes and we will continue. Nobody told me.
I think she had a great time last night.
See? After we go see him.
I had to hit my knee a couple weeks ago, and then yesterday I
You'll get it in.
pulled off the weekend. So I thought, given that I didn't know what kind of chair it was supposed to be announced today,
Well, it may have gone in as an email Saturday, September last night.
We've talked to people about it, but not. I didn't actually know myself before the I only have that one set of houses, so it's a subdivision now, so there's supposed to be two. I did that way. No, I can't. Oh, okay. Okay. I'll get it. So if you have to do it manually on the street name, oh, the borders. Okay, then you probably know them. The borders are in your head. Most of them, yes. I never thought about the southern border, which some of us,
rights, because every American deserves basic fairness, no matter an individual's gender, faith, race, who they are, or who they love. We're the party of clean air.
Okay. Oh, no, I found it.
This is really what I wanted.
You don't need it because what we did was, because so people actually show up, we just selected everybody would show up.
Okay, good. Well, I want to use for you because I was on those in that bar. Oh, yeah, and Austin. Perfect. Hey. Got a campaign? Yeah. It's not going over very well here. But me and Paul Howard look back at this. I don't know how you can do that. Right. Without having a special election, like you said, it costs so much money. I have this as primary wasted money. We don't need to waste that money. Sometimes you are what you do. They aren't involved in the party. Just became a voter. Has no clue. It's true. People who represent us on something. Thank you. Glad I talked to you. Me too. You're a young woman who wants to speak.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
they're all gone. Taylor, I think it's going pretty well. I think so. Yeah. We were really expecting a few more people to show up, but I guess a lot of people wanted to go to work. Yeah, I think it's true, but I expect some people candidates or people to speak candidates. Well, this year is a little strange because we have so many that are up for re-election in Dallas County, and also because we have candidates running every race, which that is unusual. It's awesome, though. Yes. So anyway. From a couple of our statewide candidates, and we're going to do rules and some resolutions. And then we pretty much done it. Usually they have to have a consent call. Yeah, all the boards and administrators are there to have those. We ended up not having to have them, but it's going to save us a whole lot of time. So, sorry, getting all the stuff. Yeah, I mean, we had to do it. We had to be ready. Because if we had to do it and we weren't prepared to do it. Yeah. We were really good at it.
Is there some paperwork we need to fill out if we're putting money in this box, the box outside? In years past, there was. Glad to see paperwork reduced. It's a good thing, usually.
I think they just lump it all together and put it under.
Well, there was one year, and I don't know if it was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, or 6 years ago, they made a point that said you had to fill out paperwork because of some change in state law or election rules that required every nickel and dime to be accounted for.
That's what I'm saying. That is true, but they will lump it all together and put that state strategy or something like that.
I think that year they were afraid of being, they had to be accountable to the specific individual from which they came.
Thank you.
Roland. Roland. Is there any way you can post it also on that wall so we can see for those of us? No? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'll have to move. Because we can't see it on this side. Yeah. And, do you know if they're going to have paper handouts maybe? I doubt if they have paper handouts. Paper handouts. I doubt if they have them. No. It's right here? Okay. I'm going to come over. Thanks.
No, we don't have it. We've done away with precinct. Today, we're not going to have one because we don't have enough people. So we're just going to, everybody that's here and wants to go to the convention and said so, is going to get to go. The people who are not here, but who filled out a large form, they are going to be considered by the nominations to fill out 300 spots. Well, we've got like 140 people to fill 130 spots, so we'll fill it.
Oh, yeah. So even though I filled out that other thing too, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at this point because you're already out.
Got it.
Okay, please come on in and have a seat. We're ready to start back. So this is the first one. First one on the list. Why don't you play with the lights? Do it a little better. Taylor, hey, see this and see if you can see it. That's good. That's good. That's good. We'll just leave it there. Can you read it, Taylor? Can you see it? You can read it? Anybody? See somebody in the back. David, can you see it? Yeah. Okay, we don't need it that dark. One more light. Okay, would everyone please have their seat or take their seat? And would someone tell everybody outside to please come in? We've got some important business and we need to take care of it. Would the resolutions committee folks who are going to present these resolutions please come forward now to the stage? Resolutions committee folks who are going to present. While we're waiting, are there any other candidates in the room that would like to speak for a minute? 1 minute. Okay. No candidates. All right. The first thing we're going to do, assuming they get here, is we have 7 resolutions to present. And so the committee has about 15 of them that have already been voted on. We want to get them out of the way while we are waiting So I'm assuming that the person who made the motion earlier to suspend the rules to hear a part of the resolutions committee early, that still remains in effect because we suspended the rules in order to hear one earlier. This would be a continuation of that, and then when the resolutions committee comes forward with their final report, that would be the time when we would have the final report. So it looks like the resolution folks are headed to the stage now. Does anybody have any questions before we go on? Obviously, this is a work in progress. It is participatory democracy at its best. It's not a perfect process, but we do the best we can. So we thank you for your patience and understanding as we muddle through the process today. There are certain things we have to do. One of them is to receive reports from the resolutions committee. So it looks like Bob Franklin is here, one of the co-chairs. So Bob, where do we stand on resolutions?
Well, good afternoon. Resolutions is diligently working away. We've got an additional preliminary report. General topics that we're going to talk about are healthcare issues and environmental issues. All of these resolutions that we're going to be talking about have passed the resolutions committee essentially unanimously. So I understand that we are about to get a motion for adoption. Okay, as we're about to start here, any motions that want to be made before we begin?
Motion to accept the resolutions currently being presented.
Okay. So I'll hear a motion to accept these as they're about to be presented. Basically,
we're going to wing it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay. Yeah.
What we're doing, we're not trying to get you to vote on it before you hear them. But the whole point of this is that we are going to take a portion of the resolutions report now in a bulk kind of package. Okay, and you want to vote all of them at once. Okay, so we are going to vote on it, but in the end, rather than have 15 of them. Rather than have 15 votes, we're going to just do this little section now. And then you got 15 more coming, and then 15 more coming, and so on. If we voted on all 75 resolutions, we'd be here till 9 o'clock. So it's a way to be efficient, essentially.
Yeah, you'll have an opportunity to vote on the entire package. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8. We've got 10 that we're going to present to you now for consideration. Also, if any of you have access and want to look at these resolutions in the meantime, they are online. I can give you the web address www.sd16resolutions.com. Again, you have to put the W's .sd16resolutions.com. So all of these that we're presenting now, and all of the ones that will be presented later in the day, they're all online at this time. Okay, so we are going to start with a group of healthcare issues. Dale McCune is going to present. If you're following along online, it's resolutions 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 68.
Okay, I think our process is just to try and give you an idea of either the title or the topic, and then cover what we being resolved.
So the first one is fairly straightforward, facts and science. And be it resolved as the Texas Democratic Party believes that there are objective facts and truths and intends to govern based on truth, on facts and scientific evidence. Pretty straightforward. The whereas before talks about some of Trump's ideas about weapons, Iraq, veteran bills, that kind of thing. So it's basically saying we support dealing with facts based on scientific evidence. So we're just reading one by one.
Dale, can you read the be it resolved?
That's what I read first. Be it resolved that the Texas Democratic Party believes that there are objective facts and truths and intends to govern based on truth, on facts, and on scientific evidence. Pretty straightforward. All right. On number 9, it's regarding state-funded universal access to pre-exposure and post-exposure prophylactics to prevent transmission of HIV. And the concept here is that people who are who are partners of people who are HIV positive should have access to medicines to prevent them obtaining the disease, and also those who after exposure have access to medication. The State Department of Health has some initiatives already doing that, and this is increased funding. And so, let me read where the whereas is. So, we call on the Texas Legislature and the Texas Department of State. Wait a minute, let me back up. There was a paragraph before. Therefore, be it resolved that the Democratic Party supports increasing funding for both county health clinics and private organizations providing indigent health care services to ensure that every Texan who is at risk for becoming HIV positive has the opportunity to choose this tool as a component of his or her HIV prevention strategy without regard to financial hardship. Therefore, be it further resolved that we call on the state legislature and the Texas Department of State Health Services to develop a plan and make funding for universal access to pre-exposure and post-exposure prophylactics to prevent transmission of HIV available without delay. So, most of you know there's one medication commonly used called Truvada to prevent the transmission of the disease. The concept is that if we make these funds available and make the service available, we'll prevent the transmission of the disease, thus overall cut healthcare costs in the long term. So we urge passage of that. Number 10 is around marijuana issues, I believe. So legalizing medical marijuana. Most of you know that debate. There's a number of whereases. Let's talk about what's resolved. Therefore, be it resolved that the Texas legislature should improve the compassionate use program to allow doctors to determine the appropriate use of cannabis for their patients. And be it further resolved that the Texas Department of Public Safety should reduce excessive licensure fees and authorize more companies to enter the market so that the medical dispensaries can open and ensure reasonable access for patients all across the state. So that's asking for endorsement of expanding the availability of medical marijuana to the population. Indeed, it would be a decision for families and their doctors. And to help the pharmacies, make that available, financially make that available. All right, number 11 is abortion-related health care issues. There was a 3-page resolution. We simplified by accepting the resolution. It's just the last paragraph that was submitted. Let me read that to you. Be it resolved that the Texas Democratic Party shall recognize abortion as an essential component of women's health care options, and shall recognize that abortion care shall be made affordable and accessible throughout the state of Texas and integrated into the healthcare safety net, and shall promote policies and take steps to increase access to abortion care, and shall promote policies that ensure both public and private health insurance shall cover abortion care, and shall promote policies that ensure that facilities providing abortion care or healthcare professionals providing abortion care shall not be subjected to regulations more burdensome than those imposed on facilities or healthcare professionals that provide medically comparable procedures, and shall promote policies that ensure that all qualified healthcare professionals shall be able to provide abortion care, and shall promote policies that ensure that all healthcare professionals providing abortion care shall be able to follow best medical practices developed and supported by scientific evidence. So that's the nature of that abortion care. All right, next health issue is reform penalties for marijuana offenses. All right. Therefore be it resolved that the Democratic Party of Texas supports the change in the laws to make it a civil, not a criminal offense to possess an ounce or less of marijuana for personal use, punishable by a fine of up to $250, but without jail time or the creation of a permanent criminal record. So just decriminalizing that and making it civil penalty. So we urge adoption of that. All right, and then 68. It was entitled "A Resolution in Support of Lifting the State Medicaid Ban on Transgender-Related Healthcare and Treatment, including but not limited to surgical gender reassignment." So, as most of you know, this is pretty much funded through private insurance. And in 2014, Medicare apparently changed their policies to allow it to be paid through Medicare, but Medicaid in Texas is restrictive and will not allow that. So this policy, this resolution, let me read the whereas, the therefores, Therefore be it resolved that the Democratic Party supports lifting the state Medicaid blanket ban on transmission care to be consistent with CMS, Center for Medical Services, yes, the people who govern Medicare and Medicaid, let me just start over. The Democratic Party supports lifting the state Medicaid blanket ban on transition-related care to be consistent with CMS standards, including but not limited to surgical reassignment. Therefore, be it further resolved that we call on the legislature and the Texas Department of State Health Services to develop a plan to make funding and access available to everyone in the state's care. So this speaks primarily to children in foster care, children who are in the custody of the state, who we want to be involved in those decisions. In Texas, Texas has limited Medicaid coverage basically to children and adults who qualify for SSI under the federal benefit. It's not really very available to adults, so it doesn't really pertain to adult issues. It pertains to those youth who are in the care of the state, usually under Child Protective Services. So we urge passage of this resolution. Any questions over those? Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it seems like we're talking about both sides of our mouth with marijuana issues, resolution 10 and 12 are in opposition. I don't know how we're going to say that we want something to be criminalized while we're also advocating for the reduction in penalties, which we can still criminalize.
I don't think we're asking for anything to be criminalized.
It's already criminalized. We asked for a reduction in penalties.
That's not what was presented to us to be endorsed, and we went with the persons that submitted this. I believe this is coming out of the state party. It's something that's being asked to be passed around the different districts. Okay. Clarify with me the portion that you want changed. You want to change number 12 on the penalties? Correct. All we're trying to do, the recommendation is make it a civil, not a criminal offense.
I second.
Why should it be a civil offense?
Why not make it not an offense at all?
Yeah.
One of the things the committee is trying to do is submit resolutions to go to the state convention that our candidates can run on. And we want to be careful about not going too far to set our candidates up for big debate. I don't think we saw it that way.
We can, let's see, resolutions 10 and 12 you're talking about, right? How about we go back to committee and review those and bring those back to you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part. Oh, I think I heard the arguments. We'll bring it back up in committee and bring out a supplemental report.
The committee is meeting in.
Can I speak for a minute? I was the author of that resolution. I was out of that resolution. I'm absolutely happy to make it just no penalty at all for criminalizing it. I think that would be absolutely the way to go. The majority of Texans and Americans want it to criminalize. Actually, those who want it recreation. We're not even saying that. We're just saying totally decriminalize.
These are very complicated things, and if you have some comments on them, we welcome you to come to the resolutions committee and it's at 128 where we meet to help us resolve these issues.
Two more comments.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. You're talking about the on the Medicaid and transgender sex-free assignment for children. We carved that one out because I think that we need to have a debate on the children part. I think the children certainly they know whether they're male or female internally themselves, but I think allowing them to have a sexual reassignment before they're 18. I've seen where parents use their children as a rallying cry to support the cause and irreparably do damage to the child. It really isn't what the parent is saying is happening.
We have another resolution on that issue. I can't remember whether we tabled that because that's very complicated and difficulty in trying to explain and get passage on it. This speaks to those that are in state's care, which are children, and so usually the parents are not involved. That's why they're in the state's care. Usually, as a former CPS worker, there was always efforts on my behalf and everybody's part to involve the families in those kinds of decisions. But there are kids that are emancipated in state care who may want to have that surgery. I think that was the intent of this resolution.
I think the children are in state care or in state care for their citizens, and I think they need to be on their own. So I cannot not school is going to be paid for a child. Because I don't think children are going to be able to make that decision for themselves and make a permanent change, but it's not going to be able to take it later. I think that's nobody else.
It's a very complicated issue. We'll take that back to the committee. And As you can tell, these are complicated, sometimes controversial decisions. If you'd like help in formulating the policy that we recommend to the state for adoption, these are only adopted at the district level. They get sent to the state, so we need to have it as something that can be supported across the state. And if you can help us state that better, we welcome you to the committee.
I wanted to respond or talk about the issue on Medicaid. All I understand the resolution is asking is that Medicaid adopt the same standards as Medicare.
That's correct.
So that if there is in fact a person covered by Medicare who may or may not be, Medicaid, who may or may not be a child, because lots of people get covered by Medicaid at some point in their life, that they have the ability to get the funding for the surgery if they want it. There's nothing in here that's making anybody get a surgery. A child who's under the care of the state is going to have to, their care is controlled by the state anyway.
You're correct. It's basically about funding and making Medicaid funds available. That surgery is deemed necessary or important by all those that are involved, which would be child or conservator, which is the state, and hopefully with some inclusion of parents.
Thanks to whoever's doing the microphones, if there's any way of getting them less squeaky, please do. But to the point of the resolutions, if there's a sense in the House that resolutions 8, 9, and 11 are not controversial, that they can be approved immediately, can you go ahead and do that so that we can do that so we can be efficient?
I second.
I think the recommendation was we approve these later. These are for you to think about, and if you've asked for reconsideration, we're taking them back to the committee. We'll bring them back later. So if you want to help change them, we can. I don't know that it seemed like everyone had a challenge on every one of these issues. So I think they're controversial in some sense, at least a minority of you.
Okay, this is a difficult process, obviously, because the Resolutions Committee has spent a lot of time and they've worked on these. So, we kind of have to deal with it. If there's major objections to something, if like we say the sun is yellow and you think it's blue, then that's a problem. We need to know that. But minor little tweaks and so forth, we just probably don't have the time to go through all that in the 75 resolutions. So that's what we're trying to do. I've been asked to present the environmental resolutions. Many of you know that I'm an environmental activist, a Sierra Club member, a PAC chair for our club, and so I am very interested in a lot of these. So let me just tell you, the first one is number 43, Rollin. It's resolution a resolution in opposition to fracking, essentially. Is it up here? Okay, very good. Most of you know what the process of fracking is. It's hydraulic fracturing is the actual terminology. It's using water and mixed with various sometimes toxic chemicals to break up rocks deep within the earth. And this is a concern that many people have with regard to the ill effects of it, as well as the ill effects of the putting the wastewater back into the ground, which has been known to cause earthquakes. Robin, why don't we cut that off? It's a distraction. Cut off the secondary line. Thank you. All right, so this resolution, whereas it's been known to emit greenhouse gases equal to amounts of coal, harm the health of those who work and reside in its proximity, and there are several whereases. I'm not sure I really need to read all of that, but let me read you the therefore be it resolved that the Texas Democratic Party should pledge to embrace a cleaner, cheaper, more reliable, and more desirable future with renewable energy, or renewables, injecting billions into the economy, empowering people to make independent energy choices, spurring innovation, and building demand for low-carbon consumer products. That is the amended version. It was something a little more extreme, but the resolution committee has come out with this. So that would be number 43. All right, number 57 is the next one that I've been asked to read. Number 57 is to protect Texas from the Trump rollback of methane regulations on oil and gas production. Many of you know that under President Obama, the EPA was very aggressive in various rules that came out to protect the health, welfare, and safety of Americans. Whereas protecting that health, safety, security, and financial well-being is of prime importance, and that Texas is the leading oil and gas producer in the United States, and whereas methane is a useful product that, if released into the atmosphere, has public health impacts on our residents, whereas emissions of methane into our atmosphere are also a leading cause of climate change. And I could go on with various whereases. Obviously, the Trump administration under Scott Pruitt, as EPA director, has rolled much of that back. The resolution portion is as follows. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Senate District 16 Democratic Party in Texas is opposed to the rollback of the oil and gas controls proposed by EPA and opposed to the rollback of the Bureau of Land Management methane and waste prevention rule for oil and gas development on public lands being considered by the U.S. EPA, by the Department of Interior, and the Trump administration. Be it further resolved that the U.S. EPA should move forward with requiring and implementing air emissions controls on oil and gas wells, including the capture of methane, and the U.S. Bureau of Land Management should move forward with strict air emissions and methane controls required for oil and gas production on federal and tribal lands, which will have positive health, environmental, and economic benefits for Texas. In other words, I know enough today to tell you we want Obama's rules back, and that's essentially what this one is about. The next one that I'm reading is number 58. It's Protect Texans from High-Level Radioactive Waste Risks. As you know, there's quite a bit of effort in Texas to prevent the transport of radioactive waste through our roads over to the waste facility in West Texas. Waste Control Specialist owns that, and they have applied to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for a license to build yet another consolidated interim storage facility to store up to 40,000 more tons of nuclear reactor waste, also called high-level radioactive waste and spent fuel, for 40 years or longer in the Andrews County facility. Whereas the radioactive waste would come from nuclear reactors around the entire country and travel across the various roads in Texas. Whereas exposure to dangerous levels of radioactivity is known to lead to birth defects, genetic damage, and cancers, and unshielded exposure to high-level radioactive waste could be lethal. And I'll skip on down to the resolve. Therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas, actually SD16 Democratic Convention is opposed to consolidated interim storage and transport of high-level radioactive waste through our state. Be it further resolved that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission should delay the licensing process so that state legislators have time to host hearings on health, safety, transportation, and financial liability issues related to the high-level radioactive waste storage in Texas. The last one that I've been asked to read is 59, which is Protect Texas from the Rollback of the Clean Power Plan. It should be plan. The Clean Power Plan, as you know, was President Obama's effort at renewable energy. This resolution is as follows. We're protecting the health, safety, and security, whereas Texas is leading state in emitting carbon dioxide emissions from power plants, whereas the Environmental Agency under the Obama administration promulgated the Clean Power Plan, also known as the Carbon Pollution Emissions Guidelines, which requires the electric sector of the United States to reduce emissions of carbon, dioxide emissions from the electric sector by 32% by 2030 from 2005 levels. And where, I won't read all this, you get the plan, right? We're trying to bring back the Obama-era Clean Power Plan. Therefore, be it resolved that the SD16 Democratic Convention is opposed to the rollback of the Clean Power Plan being considered by the EPA and the Trump administration. Be it further resolved that the EPA should move forward with implementation of Obama's Clean Power Plan, which will have positive health, environmental, and economic benefits for Texas. Those are the environmental ones that pass our resolutions committee. So we are going to pause in the presentation of resolutions, and we'll come back with another report. No, do you have a comment on environment?
All these environmental resolutions are passed in committee except divestment of Texas Democratic Party from its fossil fuel donors. Why?
Bob, you want to tell us why that one had a problem? Because I don't know, I wasn't there.
www.sd16resolutions.com. Okay, I don't recall the number. 50. I'll tell you what the basic problem was in the committee. We split down the middle on this. Realizing that Texas is a very diverse state. Certain parts of it are so heavily dependent on fossil fuel companies, other parts less so. A lot of fossil fuel companies are heading away from strictly fossil fuel and trying to move a little bit more, probably due to public demand, trying to move a little more towards alternative energy sources. And so the discussion that came up is, if an energy company wanted to support Democratic candidates who promised that the state legislature would help them in some way, maybe reducing regulations, changing regulations, so that they could go more into alternative energy sources, we wouldn't want to cut that revenue source to those candidates into the party if they wanted to contribute to the party or to a candidate. Now, we recognize this was very controversial. The reason we did not present it at this point was because our committee, which is 12 people, was split right down the middle of 6 months. So, I hope we recognize there are arguments on both sides. Yes, oh yes. When we present the entire package at the end, because essentially we have tabled it because we couldn't come to a resolution on it, but it can be brought up from the floor and discussed again. And these same issues will probably be raised. Should a Democratic candidate just flatly say no to an energy company's donation, if that energy company seems to be moving in the direction of let's go more into alternative fuels?
Say yes, but how do we know?
That's why it's a resolution and not a law. It's just a recommendation.
You said it's tabled, but voted no.
Well, they should put that it was tabled because it was a 6-6.
Yeah. Okay, let me just tell you all something along with that, because this has come up and I want to address it. Our parliamentarian is not here, but there are procedures where you can take something off the table, and if you choose to reconsider that at the end and we want to have a debate in front of the whole group, that's certainly not. That's up to you. What the resolutions committee has presented are those that passed either unanimously or nearly unanimously. They were no-brainers, basically, and that one apparently is a little more of a sticky wicket. So maybe that's one we want to debate in front of the entire organization. But for now, we want to entertain a motion to approve these that have been presented today. So moved, and second.
We're talking about everything 8, 9, 11, 43, 57, 58, is that correct?
Well, the ones that you just heard presented are what we're talking about.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 68, 43, 57, 58, 59.
Earlier, I believe you said you were going to take 10, 12, 68 back to the video.
10 and 12, because the issue was raised, are they in controversy with each other? So we want to take another look at that.
You want to write down what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got that.
68.
68, that's the one on Medicaid reassignment.
Right.
Yes, I've got that. We're going to raise that with the committee now that there were some questions.
Can you clarify
numbers for the one we are voting on right now.
8, 9, 11, 68, 43, or not 68, 43, 57, 58, 59. The three that are in abeyance are 10, 12, and 16. So 3 to review. Yes.
All right, motion has been made, it has been seconded. Any further discussion? Further discussion? Okay. Okay, that is I guess that's the chair's decision. Yes, we can do that. So we're voting on everything except the nuclear waste one. Okay. Question? Okay, all in favor of those resolutions minus the nuclear waste one, all say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, it passes. Okay, Tom, what did you want to say about the nuclear regulation? Okay, motion has been made to call forward on the final one in this section, which is the one on nuclear waste to be put out for another facility, yet another facility in Andrews County. Do I have a second on that? All right, any discussion? Any discussion? All right, hearing no discussion, all in favor of that one, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Yes. All right, almost unanimous, minus one. Okay, we are done with this section. Tom, you want to come forward with look who we have here. Okay, all right. Well, we have a short video. We need to stop. We have a short video that we would like to show you. Do not leave. Do not leave. We need to. Did you have a question here? Yeah, Robert, just cut that one off. It's the one you were going to do. Okay. Clayton has an announcement, and he needs to have it on while he's making that announcement. Would you just go ahead and say what you're going to suggest? It has to do with how we're going to do resolutions going forward.
Hello. So yeah, we wanted to make sure that the resolutions committee was being transparent, but also was able to move fairly quickly because it is already 2 o'clock, and that the resolutions that we just went through was less than 1/4.
And you are a member of the committee, right?
Yeah, it was less than 1/4 of what we're going to be going through. So what you all have is the website, which again is www.sd16resolutions.com. I'm going to let you know which categories you can click on the website so that you can review the resolutions before we come back out here. And when we present them, instead of trying to read through all of that text and spending a lot of time doing it, we will simply read the title, and you can and then just move forward on those. So you have access to every bit of text. You'll also on the website have access to the resolutions that aren't being presented, and you can come back and ask why. But in the interest of being fully transparent, making sure you have all the information, and also moving forward quickly, that's what we're going to do. And so the announcement for the next round, when we come back out here for the next presentation, you can click on the following categories to review the resolutions. And that is discrimination, a separate category called discrimination/immigration, and crime, and guns. So that's 4 categories. Again, discrimination, immigration, crime, and guns, and union employees. I'm sorry, 5 categories. Union/employees.
I have a point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Not all of our phones work in here.
Oh, that's a great point. So if anybody has any trouble, if you don't have access to it and you can't find somebody who does have access to it, you can just follow me back to the resolutions committee room, and I'll make sure that we give you any text and every bit of information that you need. Same thing if you have any questions and those questions aren't answered in the text that you're reading, just come on back there, let me know. I'm going to walk back there now and So if you have any trouble, not everybody has a cell phone. Maybe your cell phone is like mine and the battery's already dying. Get with a neighbor and check with them. If we're Democrats, we like to help each other out. But if you have any trouble with all of that, just follow me back to the resolutions committee room, and we'll make sure that you have full text to every single resolution before you get it.
Okay, at this time.
David, my suggestion is that instead of just reading the title, it doesn't take very much time to read it to see it resolved. So we know what we're voting.
So she's asking that at least the therefore be it resolved to be read.
It's up to you, but keep in mind, it'll probably take about 30 seconds to a minute to read each be it resolved, and there are 75, so we're talking about adding an additional at least an hour to do just that. So it's up to you.
I will entertain a motion as to how we should go forward. Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Any discussion on that motion? The motion has been made that on the remaining resolutions, that at the very least, the therefore be it resolved be read for us, which obviously seems fair to me. It has been seconded. We're now in discussion on that motion. Now, keep in mind that will delay our finish by some amount. But if that's of interest to you all, then that's the comment here. All right. So, anybody in opposition to that?
Yeah. So, just again to comment, we've given you access to the text online. You can follow me back to the resolutions committee room and see it in person. I can sit down next to you and we can look on my phone. And bring my iPad over, whatever you want. So you have access. It's just merely a question of, on top of that access and on top of being able to read it, do you want to spend an extra 1 to 2 hours reading it aloud before this body? And again, it's up to you.
I would like to point out that not everybody, first of all, not everybody's capable of reading, and number two, that some people, blind people, can't read your internet.
All right, I think we get the picture. I don't think it's going to take 2 hours. I can't imagine reading one paragraph for each thing.
I don't think.
But anyway, you understand the process, or the question rather. Do we read the resolution paragraph or paragraphs for each of the remaining? And we'll just we'll have democracy here. And let you decide. So all in favor of that motion to read the resolution lines of the remaining resolutions, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? No.
Call for a divide.
I think we need to take a hand vote on this because it's very important to people. This is the first close vote I think that we've had. Out of fairness, I'm going to call for our own division of the House. So, all in, could I have some counters? The folks that help us count.
Make it shorter.
Make what shorter? Okay, well, the time for discussion is over. We're now going to vote. So if you're in favor of reading the resolution lines, as opposed to just looking on your phones to read it yourself, please say, raise your hand. Raise your badge. Let's do that.